Good morning and welcome to the Sport Clips Caravan. My name is Stacia Kelly. I'm the Artistic Director of Sport Clips, and I'm also your host. All right, there are 500 people registered for this event. Can you believe that? That's amazing. We're gonna have barbers, cosmetologists, instructors, future professionals, everybody who's anybody is here today. All right, so if you've never been to a Sport Clips Caravan, let me tell you a little bit about what it is. It's our technical educational showcase. We want you to take a glimpse into Sport Clips and what we are in the industry, our partnerships, our relationships, our opportunities, our hashtag free education for today. It's gonna be awesome. We have artists from American Crew, Nioxin, Babyliss, and our Sport Clips artistic team. Now, do you want to win some prizes? We have 4 amazing prize giveaways today. So what I need you all to do, get out your phones. There's a QR code on the screen right now. Go ahead and snap a picture of it. It's going to take you to a website. You're going to enter your information only one time. And you have 4 chances to win. Okay. In the chat box, we have just dropped down all the information on how to use a QR code if you've never done it before. And also, if you're on your phone for Zoom, there's a link in the chat box so you can get to it that way. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that, and then we'll get started.
I wish I could make the time stop so we could forget everything and everyone. I wish that the time would line up so we could just give in to what we want. Cause when I got somebody, you don't. And when you got somebody, I don't. I wish that the time would line up so we could just give in. But there's no way that it's not going there. It's not going there. With the way that we're looking at each other, there's no way that it's not going there. It's not going there. Every second with you I want another, but maybe we could hold off for 1 sec so we could keep this tension in check. But there's no way that it's not going there. It's not going there. With the way that we're looking at each other, we just dance backwards into each other, trying to keep our feelings secretly covered. We just dance backwards into each other, trying to keep our feelings secretly covered. You touch me and it's almost like we knew that there would be history. But there's no way that it's not going there. With the way that we're looking at each other, there's no way that it's not going there. Every second with you I want another, but maybe we could hold off for 1 sec so we could keep this tension in check. But there's no way that it's not going there. With the way that we're looking at each other.
All right, I hope you guys all got registered. I did have a question in the Q&A that said, if I'm on Zoom through my phone, how do I register? There should be a link in the chat box, and we'll go ahead and send that again in our chat box. These prizes are gonna be awesome. So we have a 2-hour technical training with Sport Clips artistic team member, one-on-one, okay? We also have a mentorship with Adriana Fournier of American Crew, 1 hour, one-on-one, technical, personal. It's just gonna be awesome. You could win a customizable Babyliss clipper and trimmer set, like the skeleton trimmer. Those are awesome. And then Nioxin's giving away this huge product pack. So please register. You'll have several times. We'll have this back up. You can register to win. Now, who's ready to get started with some education? Hashtag free education, right? All right, so please welcome to the stage Sport Clips artistic team member, Dorothy-Anne Lacy, and Seamus McKernan from Nioxin. And this is Thinning Hair 101.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. It is a pleasure to be here with you all. So just as Stacia said, this is an event for you, each and every individual future professional out there. So we invite you throughout today, ask your questions, don't be shy. If you have a question, someone else probably has one as well. So put those in the chat box for us and let us answer anything you guys have. I'm with my friend Seamus from Nioxin, and today we're going to talk to you guys about the art of thinning hair and a little bit of fine hair too. So when it comes to having your client, no matter who it is or where you're working, you have to have a consultation with them and build their trust. We have to find out what are my client's needs and what are his hair goals. So my client here, Sam, he has a little bit more of a fine textured hair. So on the sides, he wants to take it short, but he doesn't want it buzzed. So having a consultation with your client to understand what he wants and what he doesn't want is important. Sometimes finding out what he doesn't want is going to get you a lot closer to the end goal than going off of short, but not too short. So when a client says he doesn't want it buzzed, he usually doesn't want clippers because it leaves a real blunt line across his hair and it makes it kind of stand out a little. But if we want to do a softer beveled look, we can do some shear over comb or just normal shear cutting. So with my client, I prepped him. I used our scalp relief system with Nioxin. And guys, it smells delicious. If that doesn't sell you on it, how amazing of a product it will. But I've been smelling this guy's hair for a while now and it's yummy. So I'm going to wet down his hair, comb it back and get him sectioned out for our haircut. And while I do that, I'll let our friend Seamus introduce himself.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dorothy-Anne. I am Seamus McKernan. I'm an educator with Nioxin, and I have been with the company for, oh gosh, a little bit over 8 years, and I'm super excited to be here. The Sport Clips team is amazing. They've always been super ahead of the curve as far as education is concerned. So it's always my sincere pleasure to work with you guys because I'm going to tell you, they really, truly are the top in the industry as far as giving education to their stylists, making sure that everybody's up to date with the latest and greatest. And we're really excited. One of the things that Dorothy-Anne was talking about, which I'm super thrilled about, is this guy right here, which is going to be our scalp relief system, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's our newest offering from Nioxin because we're constantly innovating and reinventing the brand, always looking for the next latest and greatest as far as technology for thinning hair is concerned. So we're going to do some really awesome stuff today. We're going to answer a lot of questions for you guys. If you do run into any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. We do have someone monitoring that, and we will try to get to them. So I'm going to pass it back over to Dorothy-Anne. Dorothy-Anne, do you want to tell them a little bit about your Sport Clips journey?
Yeah, so I'm prepping real quick with my hair and body moisturizer. That way I have good slip with the hair while I'm working in it. It's going to keep moisture in his hair and it adds a little bit of weight while I'm cutting so that as I section and move the hair over, it's going to stay in place, making it easier for me to control. So I'm going to start with my client at my 6 o'clock parting. At Sport Clips, we think of the head as a clock and your apex right up top. Right here, this is the center of our clock. So for me, I'm going to start at my 6 o'clock parting. I'm going to bring it straight out from the head, right where it lives up at the crown, leaving at about 1 inch of length. And as I work down the head, I'm going to follow the shape of the head to have a nice taper towards that hairline.
And Dorothy-Anne, would you mind repeating the product? Sorry.
No.
Would you mind repeating the product that you used on him? Someone just asked.
I used our Paul Mitchell Tea Tree Hair and Body Moisturizer. That way he has a moisturizing agent, some weight. It's good for your shears, and it actually really helps break down product if your client comes in, he's got a little bit of buildup going on.
Cool.
All right. So you asked about my Sport Clips journey. You know, I was in full service for about 4.5 years. And then I was just looking for something new. I didn't really want to work for a franchise. It had never crossed my mind of something what I wanted to do. So I knew a few girls that worked with Sport Clips. We'd gone to high school together. We actually went to hair school together, some of us. And I tried it out. I just started off as a part-time stylist. And I think within the first month, I was sold. I'm like, how do I be a manager? How do I move up? I want to do this. This is it for me. So when I went to our ongoing training that we offer, and I realized there were coaches, which is my job now, I was like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to be an educator. I could do this with this company and not have to go back to school. So Sport Clips has trained me every step of the way through my career for the last 5 years, and it's been amazing.
That's awesome. That always makes me so happy to hear that. It's wonderful when a company will grow its people organically. So a couple things just so you guys know as she's working through. if her gentleman, so she used the scalp relief system, which is our newest offering, but if her gentleman did have a little bit more thinning going on, she could use one of our classic system kits, most likely for our gentleman because he would probably have virgin hair, no color. He'd probably be a system 1 or 2, depending on the stage of thinning that he was in. So just keep in mind, the one thing that's great about Nioxin is even though there seems like there's a lot of different system kits, the only one that matters is the one that's right for your client. And the great thing is they're all going to help to keep his hair a little thicker and fuller, which for a lot of gentlemen, including myself, is always a concern. So I'm really excited. It looks like she's cruising along with this haircut at a really great pace, and it looks pretty awesome so far. So Dorothy-Anne, do you have anything you want to add right now?
Yeah, so when we're doing shorter haircuts, I like to remember the little rule we're taught when we do a hot roller or we're doing a curl set with your hot iron, and you don't want to take a section bigger than that tool. The way I like to think about it when I'm sectioning is I don't want to take a section bigger than this tool. So my comb's about 1 inch wide. If half of it is my guide, that means the other half is that 1/2 inch section I should be cutting. So if you feel like you're getting lost and you can't really find that section, you can use your comb as a nice handy dandy little tool to see what you're working with, which I really like. So I'm just doing some palm to palm. I prefer this technique when I'm doing a little bit shorter layers. That way I'm not all up in my client's face and I can really stand back and see what the hair is doing. And also I can stand upright a little bit better. So I'm not hunched over doing this number. And I'm following his head shape by bringing the hair out right at this parietal ridge, straight out from where it lives. I'm going to save a little bit of weight. We're going to preserve that length. That way I can build a foundation for the top of his hair where he feels it's too fine or too thin.
Awesome.
So I'm just going to keep working. And as I'm just going to tell you guys, as I move to this ear, I'm going to start laterally shifting forward. And what that is in each section, I'm going to shift the hair forward to create backwards movement. So just like reversing a car, you have to do the opposite of what you want to create this result. So as I come over this ear, instead of bringing my section straight out to me, I'm going to ever so slightly just move it to the front of that section instead of over directing it all the way forward. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this.
Awesome. So one thing that's wonderful is Dorothy-Anne used a cutting lotion for her mannequin just to kind of get him wet down, give it a little bit of control. Another product, and this is a pro tip for you guys that I love to use, is I love to use the Nioxin thickening spray for that, because as the hair starts to dry, it's going to dry with a little bit of texture in it. So it's going to dry with the product that you want in it. When you guys are working, cutting lotions are a really great way to introduce your client to a product without making them feel like you're pitching to them. Because, you know, when we're doing any kind of education for our guests, we want to make it seamless. We want it to feel comfortable for them. We don't want to feel like we're pitching something. You know, it's like if you walk in and you're like, these are the 5 points, that's going to feel very weird. You want everything to feel a little bit more organic. But I will tell you guys, I love using thickening spray as a cutting lotion because it's one of those things where once you start doing it, it just becomes so natural. You guys will go through it like water. It's one of my favorite products right off the bat. And Dorothy is going to use a couple different products in this gentleman just to get him prepped and rocking and rolling. But it's going to be really awesome. I think the great thing is she's preserving some weight so that hair has some density to it as well, because that's super important when we're dealing with finer hair.
So when we are doing lateral shifting, that's a term we don't hear a lot. And when we do hear it, I know the first time I heard it, I was like, do I even know how to cut hair? What are we doing? It's just a different term for movement. What we do a lot of the time is when you've got a longer haircut in the front, you'll bring it forward and then you trim up those little guys that are out of the way. Well, as you push it back, you just did that. You created shorter hair right here in the front. That's going to create that backwards movement your client's looking for. So I'm going to work around the head over to the right-hand side and do the same exact technique. And then once we get to the top, I'm going to show you 2 different ways that we can cut through and work on our top working area. Gino, do we have any questions coming in?
Yeah, you know, we have one question, and I think I'll give it over to Seamus. Seamus, you had showed scalp relief a little bit earlier on. What's the difference between scalp relief and scalp recovery while we have some time while Dorothy-Anne is cutting?
That's an awesome question. Thank you, Gino. So Scalp Relief is going to be our newest addition to the Nioxin family. It's going to come in this wonderful light green box. One of the main ingredients in it is aloe, which is going to help to soothe and protect the scalp. It also has pyrithian zinc in it as well, which is going to help to make sure that there's no inflammation on the scalp. The great thing about Scalp Relief, and the reason why we chose to add that into the Nioxin portfolio, is because it is sulfate-free, it is paraben-free. The fragrance that it has is an actual natural fragrance, so it's an anti-allergen. So if you have somebody who's sensitive to fragrance, if you have someone who's sensitive to anything, like they're that kind of person who breaks out in hives the minute any product touches them, this is going to be a really amazing solution for them. And then our scalp recovery kit, which is my favorite and my personal favorite, are these guys here that are going to be in the teal. They contain a different type of technology called ZPT technology, which is zinc pyrithian technology. They still have a little bit of that active ingredient and anti-inflammatory, but this is going to be for someone who has classic dandruff. This is going to be for somebody who may have eczema or have a lot of, maybe prone to having those scaly, flaky patches. To me, what I'll tell you between the two of them, I've used both of them. I need to use the classic scalp recovery because I have eczema. So for me, what I find is the scalp recovery gives me a little bit more relief. I will say that the scalp relief is really amazing and it smells fantastic. It also makes my hair feel really, really soft and beautiful, but it's one of those things where for me, I need a little bit more technology. So that's why this one is not sulfate free. This one is sulfate free. This is also going to be paraben free. It's also dye free, so it doesn't have any kind of color to it. It basically comes out clear. So hopefully that answers that question for you, Gino. And do we have any other ones? And yes, of course, it will still help.
We have a couple questions. Yeah, a couple questions in regards to scalp relief. One question is from Vanessa. She says, is it mint free? Because she has a few clients that are sensitive to mint. And then Emma says, would scalp relief work for customers that have perms, or is it mainly just for color relief?
So those are both great questions. The first thing is, yes, it is mint free. So there is no mint in the scalp relief system. The mentha peppermint that is usually found in our classic system kits. So it's not contained in either the scalp relief or scalp recovery. But if you have someone who's sensitive to any kind of things like that, I would definitely push them in the direction of the scalp relief. And then as far as perms are concerned, so if we're talking perms as in perms or relaxers, these are both completely safe for that. They are designed for any chemical service, not just a color service. Actually, a little known fact that I love to tell people is that System 5 and 6 were originally designed to help add moisture to the hair, so for a coarser texture. So those are great for people. So if someone's trying to transition from having a relaxer to moving to more natural, System 5 and 6 are absolutely amazing for that because they're going to make that hair feel soft, they're going to make it feel healthy, and they're going to help to kind of break away from that chemical dependency. And someone said, how can I get my hair the same color as mine? Is that the question? It really complements your skin color. Oh, thank you so much. So this is this is a good old fashioned bleach and tone. I do quite a bit of those in my wonderful little salon space. And, I work with Wella as well. So this is Wella. But it's one of those things, we can talk about that in a different time because we're here to talk about Nioxin today, but I'm glad you guys like my color. I think it's really lovely. The blue is Wella Color Charm Paints, and then the silver is Color Touch. So, all right, Gino, do we have any other questions?
No, that seems to be it, but I see Dorothy-Anne there really moving along with that haircut.
I am cruising through. I'm excited to show you guys up here in the front. Let's talk about movement again. So movement means short hair is gonna push your long hair. So I want to push this hair. I don't have to push all of it back, but if I just work right here in this little panel right before his ear, that's gonna have enough movement to keep the hair out of your client's face, to have the feathered texture he's looking for, or even just being able to hold it back. So I like to think of this as when we pull out a normal section, we pinch it right in the middle and bring it straight out from that section. What I want to do though, is I'm gonna take my section here and I like to grab my fingers at the edge of it where this section begins and pull it out. And then I have short hair pushing over, longer hair, the longer hair is coming to my short hair. And that is creating my backwards movement. So let me just do these few sections for you real quick, and then you guys can see our backwards movement we've created. And it doesn't have to be extreme. Sometimes when we're doing forward movement to create that backwards look, we're over directing so much that it comes out a little bit like, hello, is that a modern day mullet? No, it's backwards movement we want. I love a modern day mullet. I'm on board. Any mullet, throw it at me. I love it. You can do this for your mullets.
So Dorothy-Anne,
I have finish.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, I have a quick question for you. As far as everything is concerned, when you're doing consultation with your clients, you know, I think this is going to come up a lot with how do you like to give them the best service? Like, do you try to recommend that they get a shampoo, that they go to the showers? Like, what is your approach when you have someone? So let's say I'm brand new in your chair and I'm sitting down. What's your approach with me? You know, if I tell you, here's my concerns, I have a little bit of issues with thinning, like, what are you going to do for me?
Okay, yeah, definitely. All right, and here we have this ever so subtle backwards movement. So the first thing I like to do, the way I really think of my clients is I think of them like they're my friend or maybe one of my brothers, someone that I would just talk to honestly. So I can see really what are the issues. The first thing I do when they sit down in the chair is what's going on up here? Is he thinning? Is it dry scalp? A lot of the time a client will sit in your chair and say, oh, I've got dandruff. No, bud, you've got dry scalp. So let's figure out what the issues are. I ask them questions of how hot of water do you use when you shower, when you're washing your hair? How often are you washing it? What shampoos are you using? Are you a hat wearer? I'm a stickler with hat wearers because if a guy has his hat on, I'm just going to paint you a little picture. Sometimes if a guy, let's say he works outdoors, he's wearing his work hat. He's sweating, he's working all day. Then what does he do? He takes it off, runs his dirty hands through it and tosses that hat back on. Gets home from a long day of work, hops in a quick shower because he's going to go meet his friends for a drink and throws back on that same hat. Well, now we have a steamy scalp and a dirty hat on each other. And that could fill up their cuticles and their follicles too, so that their hair can't regrow. So understanding their lifestyle really does help pinpoint. So you can say, okay, let's get rid of that hat or maybe wash it out. You could use dry shampoo throughout. So I start trying to give him solutions and he can pick which one works for his lifestyle the best. But I've definitely made someone throw a hat away before if they need to.
As you should.
All right, so I'm gonna go up to the top now. I did the sides wet, but I wanna do the top. I wanna show you guys two different ways to work with the top. So I'm gonna do it wet and dry. But before we move on, I'm gonna do a little bit of shear work around the perimeter. I wanna just dust off this and taper it down for him. I can still get really short with just my shears and a comb. Those are my two favorite tools. And I would suggest, guys, get comfortable having them in your hand. They are your money makers. Mm-hmm. I drop mine all the time, so I'm comfortable picking them up, getting a new one.
Awesome. I think that's a great tip. I think it's really important to feel like you've mastered your tools. And I think it's great because you guys offer the education to do that, which is really awesome. So for you guys who might be a little bit nervous, if you're new young professionals, I will tell you guys just a little secret. I was very lucky in the very beginning of my career. I got to work at a place where they taught me clipper work. And before that, I had never picked up clippers in my life. And I know it's one of those things, Sport Clips is amazing with that. And they offer such fantastic education that you can feel confident in doing men's cutting. Because I know there's a lot of people out there who like it, but sometimes feel a little bit nervous. And then the other thing I'll tell you guys too, and this is a big thing that Dorothy-Anne touched on, is when you guys are doing consultations with people, you want it to be a conversation, not a consultation. You know, we want them to feel comfortable with what we're saying. We want to approach things softly. So if someone has thinning hair, we don't want to be like, oh, wow, you're going bald, because who wants to hear that, right? Especially if they're coming in to relax and get a wonderful, haircut and things like that. We want to approach things gently, ask them open-ended questions. So tell me a little bit about your hair. What do you like about your hair? What don't you like about your hair? Things like that are always helpful to start the conversation, and they take literally next to no time. So, make sure when you guys are doing that, that you really kind of touch on that sort of stuff, and just spend a minute and listen. You know, that's the biggest thing, is clients want to know that you're listening and that you're participating. So right now it looks like Dorothy-Anne's doing some amazing scissor over comb work. And then Dorothy-Anne, when you get done, why are you combing the hair back now? And I noticed as you're going, you're kind of just bringing everything back into place. Do you want to talk on that?
So I'm naturally a chaos. When I'm working, my things just explode out. So I like to stay organized. And Sport Clips has a system on how we do things, and that really helped me be more organized as a stylist. So I need to be organized in the hair as I'm working. I like to, after I cut the hair, comb it back down, because I need to see if it's lying how I want it to. Otherwise, I'm going to get halfway through my haircut and realize, like, oh, did I lose my shape? Do I need to go shorter? This way, it's basically just letting me confirm this piece is done. Great, I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm not going to get lost in the details. And I'm just tapering up through his nape. Once I get to his occipital bone, I'm just coming off and following through, because we already did all this work up here. Down here, it's just a nice little cleanup for him. He's going to have a soft, natural neckline. It's not going to be super harsh for him. And then when I'm using my shear over comb, I like to use the wide teeth of my comb, and I can get the hair in a little bit easier. If when you're doing scissor over comb and you're like, wait, where's my hair? I can't get it in my comb. I like to take it and just tap that hair down so it's at the spine, and then work my way up so the hair's in my comb. So again, I'm just going to finish right up here. And Seamus, you really did hit a point with how Sport Clips train stylists. When I was in beauty school, I was very interested in doing men's hair, but we don't learn it. And the only reason I got a little bit of education was one of our fellow instructors, her husband was a barber. So she gave us a few tips and tricks. So when I got to Sport Clips, seeing how fast my times changed, my technique, how much better I was getting, it was just such a confidence boost as a stylist to be like, yeah, I got this. We know what we're doing. So same thing right here. I'm going to taper up and over the ear, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side.
Awesome. It's looking great so far. I think that's a huge thing, is, you know, it's the biggest thing that people want to do is try to build confidence. And I think that's one thing, because I had seen a couple different people kind of questioning down below as we're working, and someone said, what's one of the benefits of working at Sport Clips? I'm going to tell you guys something and just be 100% honest with you. Out of all of the groups and companies and everything that I work for as part of Nioxin, this team is one of the ones where they care so incredibly much. I have been really lucky because I've gotten to go to the Sport Clips Huddle, which was down in San Antonio, Texas. And you have never seen such an enthusiastic and excited group. Like, to be honest with you guys, the thing that's made me sad is because obviously with all the stuff going on in the US and in the world, I haven't been able to go back to a huddle, and I've been really excited. I've been missing them because there's such an amazing event. There's so much support and there's so much education. Like, I will tell you guys, and this is just me being really honest, you get so much education, and this group has such a huge passion for the industry, and that's something that you're not going to see everywhere. So I will tell you right off the bat, and this is completely unbiased, Stacia, nobody else is paying me for this. I'm just saying this. This is the God's honest truth. It's just been really awesome. It's been the one thing that's been so exciting for me, is being able to be a part of this education, because I feel flattered that they would want to have little old me. You know, that's one thing I'll tell you, is they really, they pride themselves on education. So for anyone who's wondering, like, what's the benefits? One of the benefits is you're going to walk away knowing how to cut an amazing head of hair just as well as Dorothy-Anne, and she'll make sure of it, right?
I will. And, you know, that's what drove me with Sport Clips, is I came in as a part-time stylist, and I saw that there was growth in the company, and I'm like, well, I want to do that. And I saw there was a chance for me to be an educator, and I'm like, that is what I want to do. It's my long-term goal, is to be here with you guys. I sat in the same classroom you guys are sitting in, and we had people from Wella come and talk to us, and they were their ambassadors. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that, right? We all want to do that. We all want to be up here educating and sharing our craft. So the fact that I'm with a Wella company today is mind-blowing to me. So crazy that I'm here. And next month, it'll be 10 years of being a full-time hairstylist. So the way the world works has been amazing. So I've got my sides done for now. I'm going to come back and detail them up at the end. That's just how I like to do it. But let's dive into this top working area. So just like Seamus said, I am going to prep the top working area with the thickening spray. He taught me this trick, and ever since I've been like, this is the one. So I'll spray it into that root, work it into his hair for the wet portion of cutting. And then once we dry it, we'll do a little different.
Awesome. I'm so excited to see this. It looks amazing so far. So this guy's going to have a better haircut than I do, which I'm a little jealous about. But, you know, it's one of those things. I'm desperate for a haircut at this point. But you guys, does anyone have any questions so far? Are we doing okay answering them for you? You know, if you guys wouldn't mind, if you feel like everything is going well, will you do me a favor and do a little thumbs up in the chat bot or give us like a little love that way? That would be so fantastic. And then Gino, do we have any questions from the audience?
You know, we have one question, and it's regarding consultation. Like, what are some key words that you can kind of look out for if someone's, you know, beginning to thin, but they're really kind of uncomfortable about, you know, speaking about it? What are some little key terms that kind of pop out to you?
Awesome. So the question was, what are key terms that pop out when people have concerns about thinning? Here's the thing I'll tell you guys. You never have to use the word thin in your consultation ever. You can actually think of it kind of like hot lava. So you can avoid that word entirely when you're talking about your client's hair. Just be like, hey, do you notice that your hair is a little bit different? Like maybe when you were younger, you felt like your hair was a little fuller. Focusing on the positives rather than the negatives and trying to avoid saying anything to make someone uncomfortable, because your client may have thinning hair, but they may not notice it yet. And you don't want to send them into a panic either. You want them to feel comfortable. So, you know, I'll tell you a secret about guys, and this is a big secret, okay? Most guys will literally, if you just tell them, I think this is going to be good for your hair, they may say, well, why do you think that? And you can say, I think it's going to give you the most optimal scalp environment. That will be enough for them. You know, guys tend to be more like, they don't want the ingredient story all the time. They don't want a heavy amount of details. What they want is they want someone amazingly confident like Dorothy-Anne to come in and say, hey, Dorothy-Anne, what do I need to be using? Like they'll let you know. And the other thing that's a big thing that you guys can do in that consultation, if you're Dorothy-Anne or if you're one of the wonderful Sport Clips people, is you can say, what are you using to wash your hair? Start with that. Well, my wife buys something. Oh, no, 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 no. We can't have you using that because here's the thing. I was like, it's not going to work well for your hair. And Dorothy-Anne's one of those people who's amazing because she can break that down for them in like 5 seconds as to why they shouldn't be using that for their hair. So I would say to people, if they're a little shy about that stuff, try to focus away from that. If you feel like they're getting resistance, don't even use that as your approach. Start with more like, I think this is going to be the best for your hair because I want you to have the best hair possible. That's my job. You know, I always tell people, I was like, when I suggest products to them, it's not because I'm trying to sell them on something. It's because I just want them to have the best. That's all it boils down to. And that's my responsibility. As an educator, it's my job to educate my guests as well. Dorothy-Anne, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Sometimes when I have a client in my chair and there is something going on with his scalp, it's uncomfortable. We have to have an uncomfortable conversation every now and then, but it comes from a good place. So for me, my personality, who I am, I just say, tell me what's going on up here. And that's going to open up a whole world for you. They're like, well, first of all, it's gone. Second, it's falling out. Third, I'm using my wife's shampoo. So to figure out what they think is happening, then I can tell them, yes, that is, or no, let's see if there's a different solution. So just how Seamus said, we're educators and that's our job. I'm a problem solver. I want to fix this client's issue and find out, is it a short-term goal? Is it just a new style you're looking for? Or do you have a long-term goal where you're trying to grow out your hair, thicken it up, and then add length? That way we can get them on a regimen and a system because it takes time to see results. So I have my client sectioned out right now. He has a lot of length on top right now, and we're going to take it shorter. I'm going to cut it dry and wet initially, and then I'm going to blow dry and we'll add in some texture. For me, I like to cut how I want the hair to lay. So he's going to have this nice side part, and he's going to have a nice little coming to the side. We need to take off a handful of length here. But I want to point out, imagine that this client was very, very fine, thin hair up top. We don't have a lot. And we see this often, and it's kind of like 4 or 5 strands are all clumped together going across the head, really, really long. Well, what happens if I took this hair and instead of having it all clump up and come over, if I took it shorter, then these pieces are going to stack on top of each other creating and filling space to add some texture into that hair. So long hair with your clients that are thinning or fine hair isn't always the best option. So I'm gonna take Sam down here to about 3.5 inches of length. I'm gonna cut in horizontal sections coming straight up, and then I'm gonna blend over on the side. I'll blow dry, and then we'll add some texture.
Sounds good.
I love to talk to my clients about their shampoo, what they're using at home, because this is where we find out the details, right? Are they using quality shampoo? Is it bar soap? Is it their wife's shampoo? And if it is, I say, well, do you have color treated hair? No. I bet your wife loves that, huh? So let's get you, sir, a product that's good for what you need and your needs. So again, I'm just going to cut this up. It's about 3 inches. And Seamus, you can take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing is when we're talking to our guys about product, it is a really big conversation just to say, hey, look, you know, everybody has different needs. Everybody's hair is different. Everybody's body is different. There's a reason why most guys have their own deodorant, right? Like most guys don't use their wife's deodorant. So if most guys don't use their wife's deodorant, why would they use their wife's shampoo and conditioner? They may have a couple different needs with that. And everybody likes to have their own stuff. Also, for the people who are asking what I smell like like success and happiness. That's what you can imagine that. And I smell like the wonderful mentha peppermint of the Nioxin System 3, because that's my system kit that I use. So do you guys see how I pulled that back there? But with that all being said, in the chat bot, you guys are cracking me up right now. You know, I'll just tell you guys, as young professionals and as new professionals, really learning to get comfortable. There's that point where you feel like you have to establish yourself as a professional, so you kind of get into the technical speak of things. And then over the time, you learn to pare things back a little bit. You learn to feel more comfortable. One of the things you guys will notice is like Dorothy-Anne and I are both super comfortable with what we're doing. Neither one of us feels forced. Our conversation is pretty normal. So for you guys, being behind the chair, getting your rhythm, having a good support system is going to help you with all of that. That's the stuff that's going to make you feel like a comfortable stylist. So I think it's really important as you guys are going to just understand that these conversations can happen organically. And believe it or not, 90% of them, they're not going to be something that you're going to have to force. They're going to happen pretty naturally. So does anyone have any questions right now? Gino, how are we doing on the questions?
You know, we're doing pretty well on the questions, and I see Dorothy-Anne over there cutting away. I love her positioning, and those elbows are up. So, yeah, Dorothy-Anne, how's cutting the top going over there?
Well, guys, this little bodysuits make me feel like a real ballerina today, so it's helping with the arms being up. Posture is important when you're cutting, guys. I mean, how many of you have been cutting just a few days in school and you go home and you're like, oh my God, my shoulder, my hips, my knees hurt from standing? We have to take care of ourselves. So posture is really important, and make sure that you check out how you're standing while you're cutting your client's hair. Because if you're like this all day, you're gonna be like that all life. So keep those shoulders down. So I finished up the top. We have a nice little bit of lift right here going on for him. I'm gonna connect to the sides. Now for the sides, we have a couple options. We know that there's 3 shapes you can make when you create a haircut. You have a triangle, a square, and a circle. So I want to build this square up along his parietal ridge so that it has some fullness to support all this hair on top, or lack thereof. So instead of following the shape of the head and rounding like I would to follow this, I'm going to come straight out from the side to what I previously cut. And then I'm just going to take that off right there to connect. Just nice, clean little sections, connecting these together.
Absolutely. I think it's great. I think that's the big thing with most hair cutting. So if you guys, one of the things I always tell people with hair cutting is it's like a dress. If you can sew a dress or follow a pattern, you can cut a haircut. It's really important because if you understand how your lines need to connect, everything will make sense. And that's the really great thing about having good cutting education is everything should fit together almost like Legos. So as Dorothy-Anne's going through, she's cross-checking her work right now to make sure there's no weird links or anything missing up there. And she's doing it at such an amazing speed right now. I'm watching and I'm just like, this girl had her coffee this morning, maybe a little Red Bull to go along with it.
I woke up Coffee. That was the first thing I did. That was number one. I'm like, let's get a eye cream on and a cup of coffee. So
Amen.
we have it here, guys. I don't like doing things twice. That's me personally. So if I'm going to do it, let's do it correct and let's do it right the first time. That's why I like to take clean partings. Each section I take it and then, hi, I don't need you anymore. Hair over here, behind and in front of it. Get out of my way, please. We're focusing on one section at a time. And then I comb it to see how it lays, make sure I'm doing what I want it to do, and then work my way through. Cross-checking is a must. Always cross-check your work. We like to call it panels. So if I'm getting done right up here in the front, I can cross-check this and see how it looks. Oh, looks good. And then you're going through the back, the sides, both back, both sides coming up. And then I cross-checked my top. When you're cross-checking, go back and recut. If you have a section, say like right here, there's a little section that's too long, more than likely your whole section going down vertically is going to be too long as well. So just retake that whole section and cut it again. You might have missed your guide. Don't be shy to go back and clean up that one little detail that needs some help. So I'm going to take my trimmers around the edges before I blow dry him so I can get any dust off that I need to.
He's looking great so far. He really does.
Thank you.
It's such a nice haircut. You're welcome. And it was fast. Do you guys?
Yeah, I believe that. Let's get them in and out. If I can do it quickly, efficiently, and well, I don't want to waste someone else's time. I know what it's like to be in a rush and have a million things to do in the day. So I don't want to do that to my client. So I want to get him out as quickly and efficiently as possible. If my trimmers want to get him out that quick as well. Excuse me real quick, let me dust these out. Let me get some oil on them.
Absolutely. Well, trimmers on plastic hair on a plastic head is always a tricky thing. So I'm sure for our young professionals, you guys know exactly what this is like. So I think you're doing a great job so far, Dorothy, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. And you packed so much information in our time together. So that's really awesome. Are you guys feeling confident? Is everybody feeling good? I'm just curious. I'm going to do a vibe check. Everybody feeling good? Are we going to say yes in the chat?
Oh, I love a vibe check, people.
Heck yeah.
If you're sitting,
Good.
stand up, give me a wiggle, get moving.
Right.
We've got time
We'll do
for
the
it.
inflatable waving arms thing. I'm happy to
Perfect.
do that.
So
Absolutely.
I'm tapering in his sideburns just slightly, just a little bit more to clean these up for him. Dusting up around these edges again. This is going to push it back. And I'm not taking it super high off his ear. I'm really just cleaning up the little stragglers behind. Now necklines. I'll be honest, it takes me twice to do a neckline. I have to do it once, have him stand up and then sit back down so I can see how it's lying. So for his neckline, what I like to do is have him look down. And don't look all the way down into your lap. Just look down with your eyes. If I just look down ever so slightly, my neck's going to be nice and flat. This works really well with kids. They look down and then their neck's super lumpy and you can't get a straight line. Well, if he's ever so slightly lying, looking forward, I can then make a soft edge around his perimeter. And I ask my client, do you want a square neckline? Do you want it rounded? Or do you want me to just follow how it naturally lies? If you're working with the natural way it flows, the way it lies, and the natural cowlicks of it, that way you're not fighting it in between your haircuts. So this way I'm just going to come through and I'm just going to tap out, going from side to side. That way I can make a nice straight line for him. Coming up, following this as well. And then getting any little pieces over here on the side. I can come through with my comb, hold it, and run it up. Fun fact about your comb is it's always going to make a straight line for you. So your comb is probably the most important tool next to your scissors, right? We have to be able to keep those in our hands while we're working and be comfortable with it. All right. How's he looking? What do we think? So far, so good?
I think he looks great. He looks fantastic. He looks like a very happy client.
So now that we have him dried out a little bit, I'm going to put in just a little bit more of that thickening spray. I'll blow dry him to give a little volume, and then we're going to go in and point cut to add some texture.
Awesome. So guys, just in case you didn't know, one other thing that you can use to add a little bit of volume, if you wanted to use something aside from thickening spray, is you guys could use the amazing, wonderful Diamax. Diamax is one of my favorite products because I call it an instant gratification product, because Diamax is going to give you instant lift and fullness, and with continued use, it will actually thicken up your hair. So it's one of those products that I cannot speak highly enough about. If you have a client who is already using a system kit and they say, what else can I do to add some fullness to my hair? Diamax is amazing. This is stuff that I could literally drink in my coffee because I love it so much. To be honest with you, as far as Nioxin is concerned, it's a hero product. It's definitely one of the crown jewel products of the collection. So I'm so excited that you guys are able to use it. I love it. I think it's amazing. And it definitely is a pretty phenomenal product all the way through.
I mean, I guess you could say it's a meal replacement then if you're putting it in your coffee.
Seriously, listen, would that I could, would that I could.
All right, so I actually did use the Diamax. Thanks for the reminder there, Seamus. I was staring right at it. So we have him dried now. He's not 100% dry. The roots are still a little bit damp, but that's okay because I'm working at his ends. This is where I want to add in some texture. Show of hands, I can't see you, but who loves point cutting? It's me, it's you, whoever's got their hand raised. Our friend Dorian likes it too. So what I want to do here is if I add in some texture, I then have short pieces and long pieces lying together, making this movement in here. The shorter pieces are then going to give more volume to the longer pieces, creating some nice fullness through here. So same thing as before, I'm going to work in my horizontal sections. Nice clean parting, bring it up. Now, instead of cutting it just straight, let's bring this a little closer for you guys. Instead of just coming in like this, I'm going to bend my fingers like this so that the hair fans out. So I'm here, I'm going to bend my fingers, and then I'm going to come in and do some nice deep point cutting into it. I want this choppy because I want it to have big pieces of texture in there. And with finer hair, you don't have as much to take off. There are multiple ways to put in dimension into a men's hairstyle. This is one. If it's a little bit shorter, you can do, I call it slicing and dicing. I'm sure there's an actual real term for it, but I'll show you that as well. And I like this one for, this is your average guy that comes in, he gets a 2 on the sides and back, finger length on top, but he wants a little something extra up top. So then let's get this last little bit.
It's looking good so far.
And you can see that hair comes out.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Point cutting used to scare the heck out of me just because I was one of those people who was always worried about cutting my fingers. So when I learned the little trick of bending your fingers, that saved my life. That was super, super helpful. Just so you guys know too, if he was finishing off his hair and he did not want to wash it every day, one of my favorite products that he could use, which by the way, this is not just for girls, I use this myself, a little dry shampoo. That is always a very helpful thing. Our Nioxin Instant Fullness is one of my favorites. For those who do have some sensitivity to peppermint, this does have it in it, but it does make the hair feel super, super hydrated and it gives it a lot of volume. So one of my faves.
Okay, so if my client was going to wear his hair forward, I would comb it forward to do this technique because this is the way I want the hair to flow. However, my client's wearing it to the side and slightly back, so I'm going to comb it back. And when I do this technique, I always let my client know, hey man, this might feel a little weird because I really am slicing through your hair with my shears, but no one's ever jumped up, told me it really hurts. So it might be a little uncomfortable with those dry hairs. I'm going to take my non-moving blade and it's going to slide against the scalp as I just slowly notch out pieces. I'm not chomping and I don't just have it straight open going through. It's just an ever so slight movement. So I'm going to come through and I'm going to do in a little cross diagonal pattern and then come back in the opposite way.
Great. Hey, Dorothy-Anne, it looks like we've got about 2 minutes left just before we're getting ready to sign off here. I know time flies when we're having fun. So thank you guys for having us. Just so I get a chance to say that real quick, I'm going to say my goodbyes. But thank you so much for having us. And please definitely check us out if you need any additional information about Nioxin. Check us out at nioxin.com, or you can always download. We have an app that's on the App Store, which is amazing. So you guys should be able to find that as well. And then Dorothy-Anne, if they want to find you, by the way, guys, Chicago Seamus is my Instagram. Please follow me if you want. We can always chat and talk a little bit more. Dorothy-Anne, where could they find you if they want to find you?
Guys, my name on Instagram is pretty simple. It's Dorothy-Anne Lacy, all one word. And I think we can put it in the chat box for you guys. Definitely follow us, give us questions. We love to hear about you guys and give you any information we can. I know being in the beauty industry and coming into it straight out of school is very scary sometimes. So if we can help you, let us. We love working with new, fresh stylists out of school, because then we can train you. We can give you all those tips that you're looking for, because it's what we love to do. It's not just about clients for us. It's about you as stylists as well, and how great of a well-rounded stylist can we make you. So the last thing I want to hit on before we go, I know we're running low on time. I styled him with our Nioxin thickening gel. I used to not like gels, but I've recently fallen back in love with them. I can style my client wet to dry right now. He's still got damp hair. I put this in. If he wants a nice, crisp, clean look like this, he can leave it. But if he wants it to soften up, I tell him, well, by the time you get to work, run your fingers through. You're still going to maintain the style you created. It's just going to be a softer look. And any single client that's in your chair, you want to remind him when to come back. No matter what type of salon you work in, you need that client to come back to you in your chair. You want to be able to maintain the style for him so he looks great all the time. I think being a stylist that can show their client how to maintain their style versus being the person that has to do it is more beneficial. So I want to teach my client how to maintain this and get a game plan for him on what he's going to do. Tell him when he needs to return, not for another haircut when he needs one, but what to maintain it. So that's very different. I need to see you back here in 4 weeks to maintain this haircut, not to let it grow out. That way we keep them look good all the time. And then I always show them the products that I use, and I hand them to them. Look it, I used this product today. Like I said, it's going to add the thickening spray. All you need to do is comb it in your hair and let it dry. It's going to do the work for you. So finding out the easy solution for them, and always thank them. Thank you for coming to see me and trusting me with your hair. I appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you again. And this right here is our final look, guys.
Wow, Dorothy-Anne, that looks
great, Dorothy-Anne.
I want to thank both of you for being with us today. Nioxin's been with Sport Clips for over 15 years. We have such a great partnership. Seamus, Gino, thank you so much. Dorothy-Anne, thank you guys. And next up, we have two area managers from Arizona that are going to share their journey with Sport Clips.
Awesome.
I'm Nikki. I live in Arizona, and I've worked with Sport Clips for over 10 years. I pretty much stopped counting once I hit 10 years. It's been an awesome journey so far.
My name's Brooke. I'm also from Arizona, born and raised. I've been with Sport Clips for 12 years now and started fresh out of beauty school. So I was actually very nervous to start a hair job. I was not super confident in doing hair, and honestly, I didn't apply until my friend called me and told me how great Sport Clips was. And I told her I didn't feel confident cutting men's hair, and she said, it's okay, they'll teach you. So I went in, I did the interview. I nailed it, by the way.
I actually had just become a manager, very young. I think I was 21 years old. And I was looking to hire some people. And one of the girls that currently work with me, I was asking for friends if she had anyone she went to beauty school with. And she's like, yeah, I have someone in mind. And it happened to be Brooke. And it's just really kind of ironic that we all had gone to the same beauty school. We were just graduated a couple years apart. Obviously, she was fresh out of school, and I had just experienced that myself. So I knew what was required to get her up to speed. And we worked closely together, and she, took all the feedback I had and grew really fast.
Nikki taught me how to cut hair. She was there every step of the way, and that's truly one of the reasons why I love Sport Clips, is because they're so committed to your success in teaching you and training you.
Working at Sport Clips is an extended family where you have a lot of security and support. through those hard times. You never know when life's going to throw you a major curveball. And it's just a big sense of relief to have that. And so I think that speaks volumes on the culture that this company has.
Culture for me, when I found Sport Clips, I truly found a family. I found people who cared about you. And when I needed help, I didn't just have my manager to lean on or the coaches in the training classes to lean on. I could ask the stylist next to me for help, and they were so willing to jump in and help me. Or if they could tell I was nervous, they were there to boost me up the entire time. I had another team member I had worked with. She was really struggling financially, and all the team members came together and helped her with her rent. So that was super awesome.
My favorite part was initially the financial income. I was able to, establish myself very quickly, able to buy my own home. I was able to buy my own car, go on really nice vacations. And so that was very rewarding at first. But then as I became a manager and I really moved up the ladder, I was more impactful with the people I worked with and being able to train them and coach them so that they could also have that financial success and that we could have those lives that we desired and deserved. And that was just so rewarding to be able to watch someone like Brooke, and teach her everything that I knew. And honestly, she's my biggest success story because she's achieved, I think she's on her third house she's owned, and she goes on like 17 vacations a year. So I think we live really great lives, and being able to have that security and that sense of empowerment has been really rewarding, and to be able to give that to others as well. So that has been my favorite part. It's truly a second family.
My favorite part about being with Sport Clips is it's not just about the quantity of clients we do, but truly the quality of the experience that we create for each and every single client. They don't just teach you how to cut hair, but they teach you how to provide an experience. From the second that client walks through the door to the second he walks back out of the door. And sometimes it even extends a little past that because you're walking your client out to the car because he has a hard time getting off that curb, or you're opening up the door for him because he has a cane in his hand. So just really going above and beyond and creating that full experience. Time and time again, I've had the ability to make that impact, whether it's doing their hair for their wedding that they're nervous for, or getting ready to go up to their prom. Sometimes it's the harder things, which is cutting their hair off when they have to go get a cancer treatment for the first time, but then you gotta do it again when they grow all their hair back.
To have a better attitude. I definitely, when I first started, I did not have a good attitude towards really anything. I was so young. And if I had just been willing to receive feedback and not take things so personal, I think the whole process would have been a lot more at ease for me. Obviously, the end results worked out great, and I'm very blessed and lucky. But yeah, if I had just had a more positive attitude and known that life was going in the right direction, it would have been so much more fun. So don't cut yourself short.
My advice would be, it's never too early to get into the industry. And I've watched a lot of fresh out of beauty school people start as a receptionist for us here at Sport Clips. They're so much more ahead of the game. They have a lot more confidence because they're able to go through some of those classes and learn so much more. It really gives them that little bit of headway and confidence when they start on the floor cutting clients' hair. Don't be afraid. I didn't get into the industry right away because I was nervous. I wasn't confident that I could cut a man's haircut without messing it up. That's why I had Nikki, and she helped me and made sure I didn't mess any of them up.
So one of the things that we used to do at my store was, they're called shark cards, and essentially what they are is really just thank you cards. I wanted people to feel appreciated for the little things that they did for each other, whether it was sweeping up after someone else, getting them ready for their next client, or bringing in Starbucks for everybody, or if they simply just made other people laugh. We had a girl on our team that would sing every night when we closed, and it was awesome. It just made closing so much more fun. And I thought that by posting these little thank you cards all over our break room would just kind of help people feel more motivated each day. After a while, I remember walking into our break room and our entire walls were just plastered with these thank you cards. When it got to the point of being like a wallpaper, people realized how much we loved and cared about each other, and that this was a family. And that just felt so good to me to be able to incorporate something like that.
you have the ability to make an impact on somebody's life every single day. Every single person that I have interacted with in this company are truly dedicated to your success, because at the end of the day, your success is their success.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We're always here for anybody who wants advice and support. We love partnering with beauty schools and people that are just getting started in the industry. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely loved it. And I hope we inspired you in some way or another, because you guys have the ability to make a huge impact.
Brooke, will you do your rap?
I will do my rap. So the first time I ever did this rap was actually for Sport Clips Idol on stage in front of 30,000 people. And I was very nervous, and there was a lot of good singers. I was not one of them, but it was a lot of fun. And that's one of the things I love about Sport Clips is it's not just about coming to work, it's about having fun every single day you're there. Sport Clips back again, check it directed, let's begin. Party on, party people, let me hear some noise. SC's in the house, jump, jump, rejoice. Stylist over here, stylist over there, wave your hands in the air, let's cut some hair. These three letters mean we're getting busy, MVP.
I think I've encouraged her too much over the years.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. That was great. We'd love to hear from our folks at Sport Clips about their journeys. And I now am going to get to talk about our prizes. We have two prizes to give away. The first one is going to be from a Nioxin. It is a wonderful big old product pack that's got a bunch of really great Nioxin products in it. And the person who is going to win this is Kaylee Mullen. Kaylee, you are our winner of the Nioxin product pack, and we will make sure that you get that prize, and congratulations. Our next prize package is from American Crew, and it is the 1 hour professional mentorship with Adriana Fournier. So this is going to be a great prize as well. And the winner of that prize package goes to Sean Buckingham. So Sean, congratulations. This is going to be some epic prizes. We have 2 more we'll give away later. And congratulations to our winners. And now I would like to introduce our next artist. That is going to be Dorian Curtis-Likens and Adriana Fournier. Guys, take it away.
Oh, exciting. Hello, everyone. I got the opportunity to listen in on Dorothy-Anne and Seamus, and they were so amazing. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. My name is Dorian. I am a national educator and artistic team member for Sport Clips. And I have the amazing privilege not only to be here with you guys today, which I'm so thankful for, but to be sharing the virtual stage with American Crew's amazing artist, Adriana. So right before I pass it on to her, I'm just going to explain a little bit about what I have going on for you guys today. We have our guy here, Mr. Steve. We are going to be doing an all-over razor cut, giving him a mid-length modern shag. Lots of movement, lots of texture. I'm going to be starting in the back panel, and I'm going to be pulling everything straight out in these 3 sections in the very center back, creating a square edge with a little bit of over direction on my corners before we move into the sides. So just wanted to explain what we're going to be doing so you guys can keep an eye, and I'm going to pass it on over to Adriana to introduce herself a little more.
Good morning. It's still morning for almost everybody. So it's definitely morning for me. My name is Adriana, like she said. I'm based in Portland, Oregon. I've been with American Crew a little over 10 years now, and behind the chair almost 20 years, which is kind of crazy. So very excited to be with you guys here virtually. I know this is a new normal for all of us, and definitely excited to be sharing the stage with Dorian as well. So today I'm going to be talking about the way to build your men's business and the 7 steps of success, the kind of the roadmap And I am a salon owner and behind the chair 40 plus hours a week. And I only specialize really in men. I think I have like 2 ladies. So this roadmap really sets the tone for how I was able to really build my business. And with Dorian showing you a haircut, you know, that's one piece of the puzzle, and communication is a huge part of the second that client walks in the door and how they feel. You know, I'm here with you guys virtually, and you guys definitely, you know, I got to get you guys to believe who I am. So introduction is the first step. And it definitely starts with, you know, introducing yourself. And now during COVID and all these different protocols that we have, we used to encourage a strong handshake. I feel like that really helped to kind of say, hey, I'm introducing myself. I feel comfortable with you. You feel comfortable with me. So now we've kind of had to change how that looks. And I would encourage you all, definitely newbies, you know, for us that have been in the industry a long time, we've had to change how we do things. And people that are still in beauty school, I'm sure you guys are learning, you know, no different, which is really cool. Going up to your client, saying their name, making sure they haven't been there before if this is their first time. Sometimes this is the only place besides maybe the grocery store that they come. So making them feel comfortable, saying, hi, Sam, my name's Adriana. I'm gonna be cutting your hair today. Or going up and even saying, I know what I tend to do is I'll say, hi, Sam, I'm gonna go wash my hands. I'm gonna be right back to grab you and take you back to my chair. Then we go back to the chair, maybe putting your hand on their shoulder to it, you know, that's kind of the new way to maybe create a handshake. If that client is a regular, I definitely would encourage you to maybe make sure that you write notes. Talk to them about the last haircut that they have before we start to get into that introduction, or before we get into that consultation, which I think is super important. So consultation is the second step. You know, Dorian is already cutting. She's got her razor in hand. She's using a different tool that maybe some people aren't used to using or seeing somebody use. So when we now have our phones, we've got Instagram, Pinterest, you know, books, you know, a haircut that Dorian is doing that we kind of thought would be cool is this haircut. Kind of that more shaggy. What you're seeing is definitely clients wearing their hair longer. So how do we bring those people that haven't maybe gotten their hair cut in a super long time back to more of a cool new style with their longer hair because they've never grown it out before? And, you know, that consultation should, I would say, is the one part that you should spend probably the most amount of time making recommendations. What's their, you know, routine? Are they a shampoo and conditioner person? Are they a one-stop shop 2-in-1? Those are kind of questions that will help you to be able to get them a haircut that they can style and create at home and maintain. A good haircut is something that we want to last, you know, 4 to 6, even 8 weeks, depending. Some of my clients came back from quarantine and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my hair lasted this long. And that's because it was a great haircut that lasted and was able to go into maybe this longer look. So I'm going to bring it back to Dorian so that she can talk a little bit about what she's doing with her razor, and then we'll come back to me about the next steps.
All right, you guys. So what I'm doing right now, and I did see a really good question in the chat, some tips on how to not cut myself with the razor. First things first, I love that you asked that question. So thank you. I would say figure out what tool feels comfortable for you. I'm using a Feather Japan razor. And you can get this from Cosmoprof, Sally's. One thing I want to say is the Feather razor has a guard on it. So that's really going to help protect yourself. And when you put your blade on, I'm going to come in a little closer so you guys can see the grooves are going to be facing towards the client. Very important. Now, if you want to expand yourself with a little bit more razors, we have a carving comb that you guys can use. We have, this one's kind of fun. This is called a chopstick. This one's really fun. It looks like a chopstick. So just really figure out what feels comfortable in your hand. That's going to be the first step. And then making sure that you are using a guarded razor blade. I could go all over the place with this and I'm not hurting myself. So in the back, what I did was I created a square layer. The reason I wanted to create that square layer is a square layer is going to be really, really helpful for adding some masculine features to maybe someone who has softer features. So like I said, starting in that center back, we just pulled everything straight out from where it lives into our core. And the way I'm standing with my body position, really important, is going to be similar to palm to palm. So everything standing, combing, and cutting is going to be on the same section. I'm bringing everything straight out to me and then going down. Now in the corners, I'm creating that corner, that square edge. So how I'm going to be doing this, I'm still standing in the center of the head, but everything is coming in. So there's going to be a slight over direction, creating, like I said, that corner. All right, so pulling it all out, you twist my comb around, pulling it into my core, going straight down. And notice that I have my blade at a 45-degree angle as I come down the hair. That's going to keep it nice and smooth as we go through. And I'm going to adjust my finger just slightly downward. So my now cutting angle is going to be towards me at a lower 45, so I could create a nice slight taper in that nape. So it's nice and close to his head shape while still giving him those masculine features. Now, once I get into the sides, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm pulling everything straight out, but I'm adjusting my blade. So with this, I'm going to be pulling it out and my blade is going to be creating the movement for me. So I don't have to be over directing my sections. Everything comes out and I'm going to find my guide from the last cut section behind the ear. And I'm going to take my blade now from the face backwards. So it's going to be a nice sawing motion. What this is going to do is it's going to create backwards movement, just like a nice soft feathered edge around the ears without me having to do so much work. That's what I really love about working with the razors. They're so easy to use once you get more practice with them. It does the work for you. It's really, really fun.
So I'll just jump in really quick, Dorian. You know, as you can see, she's able to slide really well and easily through that hair. And that goes into our third step, which is the hair preparation. Some of you might shampoo before you start. Some of you might shampoo at the end. But no matter what, especially when you're dealing with the razor, it's really important to have that hair slightly damp. And a good cutting agent that I like to use is the American Crew Light Hold Texture Lotion. And if you need more hold, maybe you're dealing with a little bit shorter hair, I like to use the Medium Hold Spray Gel. So both of those are great cutting agents. The Light Hold Texture Lotion is going to have more of a slick feel to it. It'll make that razor, especially if you've ever pulled out your razor with your clients before and you have a dull razor, they're going to go, oh, I don't like that. So, you know, and I think it's usually because somebody's pulled out a dull one or the hair hasn't been prepped properly. So after you do that consultation, you know, going over what are that client's needs, what is their desires, and then prepping the hair and really seeing that hair growth and how it's reacting once it gets slightly wet. You know, we can all blow dry or use products to I guess, shy away or not see anybody's calyx or anything like that. So once you get it slightly wet, you can see the hair movement, right? We all have a cowlick, and that hair tends to grow one way or the other. With Dorian, when she's forcing that hair to force it back, regardless of the way that the hair grows, she's gonna get movement to go away from the hair. So talking to your client in the consultation and the hair prep, I'm doing this, and this is what I'm going to be doing, is also a great way to explain to them that you know what you're doing. And even if you don't necessarily always know what you're doing, you'll figure it out. And having kind of a method to your madness. You know, this haircut, Dorian has a plan. She has a method. She's going to go from start to finish, and she's going to stay consistent. Making clean lines will also is a great tool when you're using that light hold texture lotion or the medium hold spray gel. When you're trying to create that horseshoe and you've got to keep all that upper hair long, then you're going to need to show that definition. That's a great thing to do. So, you know, one of the haircuts that makes me also think is you can see that movement over here that's pushing that hair back. There's another style where you can see the hair pushing forward, right? So depending on where you enter in the hair is really going to decide which way the hair is going to move, especially when using a razor. So that pre-cut, getting it is the fourth step, right? Examining the hair, seeing the way that it's going to move. Is there any calyx? Sometimes people go, do I leave it too long? Do I leave it short? If you're using your tool properly, you should be able to maneuver that whichever way you need. So I'm gonna bring it back to Dorian to talk about where she's at in this lower half of the head, getting towards the end.
Yeah, I love that. Having a game plan really is the key here. Working with a razor, you guys, it's not scary. Everything foundationally is the same as if you're working with a shear. So really just take that fear away and think about it. You've simplified it. Now you're just working with one blade instead of two. So what I went through, I just finished up my sides and back. I want to cross check with you guys because when I brought everything out on the sides, like I said, and like Adriana reinforced, is the movement's going to be created by how we bring this tool into the hair. So I really wanted just a nice soft backwards movement, nothing too crazy. So by me coming in with my blade towards the front and then over on this side, the same thing, but now my handle was up so I could still create that backwards movement and come from the front back. Now we created a progression of length moving from short to long. So when I cross check, you're going to see a natural drop in length. So see, we have it get just a little bit difference here. It's kind of like a diagonal, right? When we come in a little bit closer for you guys, but we pull it all straight out. We cross check just like we would any other time. And we have it just a tiny bit shorter towards the front. And that's what we want, that short pushing long. That's how we're gonna get direction and movement in the hair. So I'm gonna get ready to hop into my top, and I'm gonna do this in two different ways. So starting in the crown, I'm gonna work from the back towards the front, and everything from the rounds of the head towards the apex is going to be brought straight out. We're gonna be following that head shape. So it's gonna be nice and soft. But once we get to that apex, we're gonna shift it a little bit. Some serious shift is gonna happen. And what I mean by that is we're going to just be doing a slight over direction. Everything from that apex forward is gonna come back one section behind itself. So again, we're creating a progression of length once again, but when we cross check it this time, we'll see it follow that head shape to here and then get just a tiny bit longer in the front. Everything's going to be brought straight up and cut straight across. So there will be a little bit of disconnection, but we'll talk about that in a moment. So with that, I'll pass it back on to Adriana.
So that made me think of, you know, a shorter version. So you know, all haircuts, right? We've got a plan, like Dorian was saying too, and they can come in all different lengths. So even though she's going to do maybe more of that shag and longer look, maybe that person comes in with that medium length, and we still want to create and get that hair to go longer, right? So in your consultation, you go to your client and he's talked about, hey, I really liking my hair to grown out, but I just don't have any movement. It's not pushing back. So maybe he comes in with more of this style, right? Notice that hair is being pushed back. Also, when you're doing that consultation and you're talking to him, what does he see? What do you see? In this picture, I see a lot of shine. I see a lot of texture, but that texture can be created with your product as well. So, you know, definitely hair color has different shines. So you also can see, oh, there's more texture in that person's hair than maybe somebody else with the exact same length hair. With the razor, you're already going to get that movement just naturally. And what I love with Dorian going, you know, slightly shorter, she said short pushes long. Remember that always. I remember seeing people, you know, do the hard parts and going, oh my gosh, how's that going to grow out? But it's actually going to grow out quite nice because you've got short hair pushing and dividing that hair. So don't be afraid to do certain things like that, and thinking short pushes long always, and will help you. So we're into the haircut. We're definitely, this is our 5th step, you know, talking to him. This is a time when you can stop, check in with him. I tend to start on my dominant side and start from right to left, depending, that's up to you guys. And I like to stop right behind the ear and check in with my client and say, how's that length? So that I don't get done with the whole bottom half of his head and then have to do another haircut. Especially if this is a longer haircut. Using your razor or using a shear tends to take people more time. And it takes a lot of practice to get really, really fast at doing those haircuts. Hence why a lot of people like pulling out their clippers. But clippers aren't always the best option for that haircut. So talking to him, I'm using my razor, I'm using my shear. If somebody has finer or thinner hair and they're showing me looks, I might say, hey, I'm going to pull out my razor or I'm going to pull out my shear today because it's going to give more of a blunt, strong finish to that hair. So talking to him about that, always kind of bring that conversation when you are cutting that haircut back to what's really going on. We've all have our, you know, things. Sometimes there's that one client you can just say, hey, how's it going? And they might ask you out of courtesy, hey, how's it going with you too? But really bringing it back, like, how's your haircut? What's, you know, are you liking this overall? Are you feeling good about it? Checking in with your client. You know, I've definitely had clients reach out and be like, hey, can you clean up my neckline? I wouldn't necessarily just go in and clean, you know, their neckline from before. I always want to make sure that I'm checking in with that client and not just assuming. So the haircut is definitely, you know, a very important piece of the whole process, and showing them what you're doing, telling them what you're doing is always important so that they know, okay, that's what she's doing. We've, you know, I've had definitely clients come from all over the country, they've moved, and they're like, my client, you know, somebody said I get a number 2 on the side, finger length on top. And then that's what you give. And then, you know, maybe that person had Andis clippers or wall clippers or Oster clippers. So when somebody says maybe a number 2, I'm not going to necessarily pull out my number 2. I'm going to say, okay, number 2 means you're going to see scalp exposure. Is that something you want to see? And with this longer haircut, you know, we're leaving it longer. And are you okay? Do you want it to be touching your ears? Do you want it to be off of your ear? Those are kind of conversations, you know, this is off the ear. This one is off the ear. Obviously, this one is laying completely over the ear. So if they're showing you lots of different pictures, just reiterating what you see so that you create that same style while cutting their hair. So I'll bring it back to you, Dorian, and see where you're at on the top of that head.
All right. I love, love that you said that. And showing those pictures is really important too. A lot of times our clients are going to come in, sit in our chair and show us a picture of what they want. And one thing that I have to stress so much is they are showing you a finished look. All right. So that means don't be afraid to make product recommendations, because you guys can go through that haircut. It could be chef's kiss, the best haircut that you have technically ever done in your life, but you don't show him how to style it and how to enhance all of this texture that we made. Well, what was all that work for? Because he's not going to be able to wear it the way that you intended. So never be afraid, never feel like you're being a pushy salesperson, because all you are ever doing is educating your client on what's best for them. I heard it get said before, you guys are educators. No matter what, you guys are, you got your PhDs, the professional hairdressers. Take advantage of that, you guys. And don't be afraid to try these tools. Don't be afraid. Just like Adriana is saying, looking at these pictures, there's going to be features that they see that they like and things that we see that we like. And we have to make sure that communication is the same all the way through. Now, I'm going to just finish up this top working area. I'm going to turn him a little bit so you guys can see that over direction happening. All right, and what I'm doing is a peeling technique. So just like when you're peeling a potato or a carrot, you're coming in, you're going to pinch your thumb on top of that blade and scoop up. This is going to create a ton of shattered texture. So again, this blade is doing all the work for us. Dorothy-Anne called me out earlier saying that I love point cutting, and guys, I love point cutting, but I also love being efficient. I love making money. I love seeing more clients in a day. So if I can find a tool that's going to do 2-in-1 for me, and it's adaptable to that client's hair texture, then you better bet I'm going to go for it instead of doing a whole haircut and then going in and point cutting later. All right. He is just being naughty today. So I'm taking ear to ear sections, horizontal sections, pulling it straight back. Like I said, we're doing a little bit of over direction. So really take a look. That section is not pulled straight up. It's coming back just one section behind itself so we can create that progression of length towards the front. This is going to give him kind of like a masculine bang fringe front working area. Most of your gentlemen clients are not going to love the term bangs. So just we'll throw that one away right now. But it's going to be a natural front lay for us without us having to go in and create a feminine edge, which I love.
Yeah, just to speak to that, you know, as she's pulling that hair back, if this was my client and I was doing this to his hair, I would definitely say, hey, I'm going to strengthen this front hairline for you and leave it a little longer. Maybe somebody wants a longer hairstyle because they are receding, right? So I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to strengthen that hairline for you, because it's always going to be the hairline, whether it's a bang or a fringe or something like that. And like Dorian was saying, try to use more masculine words when describing your client's haircut to him. So, you know, I'm going to give you a square shape. I'm going to give you a strong hairline. I'm going to fade in your neckline to give you a long neck. You know, certain things like that. Guys want to be long, tall, lean, all of those things. So, you know, I don't necessarily want to tell the guy who has maybe more of an egg-shaped head, like, yeah, your head looks like an egg. That's funny. Okay. And then you hurt their feelings. So, you know, definitely talking to them about what you're doing. And then, you know, in that hair preparation, you know, we at American Crew usually do that before we start the haircut. But I know with Sport Clips, that's the end. That's the end kind of before you start to style that hair. So I'm going to go back that can be step 3, or that could technically be step 6. And when you bring them back to the shampoo bowl, once you've done that haircut, you're going to rinse them out. You're going to get all those little hairs out of their head. You're going to maybe notice, maybe as you were cutting their hair, you notice they had some dry flakes. Maybe you noticed there was some breakouts. Maybe you noticed that their hair was really oily. There was product buildup. So that's the conversation that you can have at the shampoo bowl when you're starting to shampoo. So shampooing their hair and saying like, hey, I noticed as I was cutting your hair was maybe more on the oily side and you had some product buildup. So I'm going to use the American Crew Daily Shampoo. That's going to be a great product that's going to be great for daily use every day, normal to oily hair. We have the Daily Moisturizing Shampoo. That's obviously going to be great for the guy who's more on that normal and normal to dry. Sometimes people need different products for different times of year. So talking to them about that. If they're wearing their hair longer, they definitely need to be using conditioner. So using our conditioner, it's got menthol and peppermint, and it's going to be tingly on the head. So make sure you go, hey, I'm going to give you a nice scalp massage. Really, your shampoo is going to remove that buildup and that product, exfoliate your scalp, and then I'm going to condition. And your hair and your scalp are only going to take up as much moisture as they need. And then you're not going to leave with greasy, oily hair. A lot of guys think conditioner equals greasy hair, and that's not the case. So if they're also, got product buildup, it's going to make sure that their hair doesn't soak in all that product. A lot of guys that use waxy products tend to have extra buildup because they don't use a conditioner and their hair just absorbs all that wax, thinking that it's a conditioner. So that definitely talking to your guys, talking to him about what maybe you prepped his hair with. Hey, I use Light Hold Texture Lotion. This would be a great product to put in your hair to thicken it, to give you a nice fuller look. And then, then you're going to bring them back to your chair. You're going to start the styling process and really talking to them about the next steps and how to create that hairstyle back at home. So style can be the fifth or sixth step, depending on, where you want to put. All the steps that I'm talking about are going to be in a PDF and either into the chat or at the end. So you can know exactly what I'm speaking to. And, explain to him, hey, I'm going to use medium hold spray gel to make sure that hair really stays back all day long. When you have a longer shape, you sometimes need more of that medium hold. When we think of gels, a lot of times we think of a high shine and whatever hold that product is. So make sure that you tell your guys, especially with American Crew gels, they're alcohol free. They're not going to be flaky. If you blow dry with them, you're going to definitely get whatever hold it is, but no shine. They're not going to flake. So that's also something that they don't have to worry about. And if you use your hair dryer or you use your hand or you use a comb or a brush, explain to them why you're using that. I always tell them too, when I bring them back, towel drying their hair. I want your hair towel dried 50%, 60%. Talk to them in percentages. You go to your doctor and you don't tell your doctor what to do, right? You're there for them to tell you what you need. So we're their doctor of their head. Hey, I'm noticing this. I did this to your haircut. If you want to create this look, are you willing to commit to 2 minutes of blow drying? Or do you want to just wash it and wear it? The detail and finish that Dorian's doing right now really is where, as all of us hairstylists, watch what the hair is doing, see what it's wanting to do. You can do so much with the haircut, but you really do need that extra step of the styling products to get you to that next step. Like Dorian said, when people show you pictures, those are finished styles. All the photographs of men's haircuts on Instagram and social media and these style selectors, there was a lot of hair prep that didn't just happen by them washing and wearing it. So talk to them about what be like, hey, I can give you this haircut, but this is what it's going to look like unfinished. If you want it to look like one of these pictures, you're going to need to do some of the work as well. So I'll have Dorian talk about a little bit of that secondary shape that she's doing.
All right. So what I did, remember I said the top was going to be slightly disconnected. So what I wanted to do was just come in, reinforce a little bit of shape and texture. Right through the parietal ridge, I just took some more horizontal sections standing in front of what I'm working on, and I did a penciling technique. So we just pull this straight out, we hold our razor just like a pencil, we come in and we slide. Now we want to make sure that we are still making this movement go backwards. So I am making sure that blade is moving from the front towards the back on this section here and just breaking up some of those lines. This is my most favorite part of using a razor, you guys. I love texture. I love it. Everything has to have a little bit of texture to it. That's my signature. So whether it be with point cutting or coming in with the razor, if you guys are not super confident using this tool just yet, you guys can do an entire haircut and use your razor as your finishing piece. So one technique, like I said, is doing that penciling. We can break up some of those lines, but what we want to be really mindful of when we are using any tool for texture is where we're putting that blade in relation to the natural bend. So remember, we find that, push it, find that buckle. Anything we do above that buckle is going to give us texture. If we go to that buckle or below, that's when that hair starts to stand up and give us troubles. So that's what we really want to be mindful of. Like I said, everything foundational is the same in regards to using a razor and using a scissor or a shear. So we went through, we just added some lines, added some movement, and then around our perimeter just came through, did a little bit of penciling to get that flick on the sides, but I even came into my design line down here and I did a twisting motion. You just take a piece, you twist it, and then you just slide. And this is just, again, going to break up some of those bulky lines. So if your guy doesn't want a nice straight edge, they want something a little more natural, this is a really fun tool to use. Now that I'm done customizing, I'm going to use a little bit of my American Crew alternator. I'm going to spray this directly on the hair and use this as my blow drying lotion. So spraying it in, this is going to give it some nice shine. It smells amazing. But it's also going to help tame this hair and give it that movement that I intentionally put in. So I'm going to spray this in and blow dry it and then finish up really quickly, but I'm going to pass this back to Adriana while I blow dry.
So, you know, as I'm watching Dorian, I'm thinking if I was her client and I'm watching her spray, I need to know, is that like 18 times? Is that 3 times? Like how many times am I supposed to spray? So remember, we're so used to doing haircuts and styling. It's part of our job, right? And we do it a bazillion times. So remember to tell your client, hey, I sprayed this product in 10 times. This bottle has, you know, 200 sprays. Actually, probably a lot more than that. I'm not sure the exact amount, so don't quote me, but it definitely has a lot. So what alternator does, it has polymers. It connects to the hair shaft. So if this is the hair shaft, it creates a layer on both sides of it. And if you think of those pipe cleaners that we played with as kids and made little stick men and things like that, it creates that same thing. So you've got a bind between the hair follicle so you can bend it whichever way you want. It's a great product to blow dry in. It's a hairspray. It goes in like a hairspray, but works like a puck. So you can constantly touch your hair throughout the day. Think of a guy who puts his motorcycle helmet on and then he takes it off and he's got hat head or helmet head. He wants to re-fluff it up so that you get that style back again. I love using that product for my guys who definitely wear hard hats, helmets, baseball hats, but talk to them about how much. If you're using the light hold texture lotion, for example, I'm going to use, you know, X amount. I'm going to use a quarter size. I'm going to use a dime size. I'm going to use a nickel size. Speak to them in terms that they're going to understand. You know, I used to be like, okay, it's just a finger, but my pinky's really small. I used to also say, hey, I want it finger length, or I tell my clients, oh, it's finger length on top. But my fingers are different than everybody else's. So just make sure that you're talking to them in more inches. And hey, this is how much I'm going to take off. This is how much I'm going to do. So blow drying. I like to keep, when I'm talking about that style, that 6th step, I really want to talk to my guys about how they can make their blow drying less time. Although I will say, if you would have asked me 10 years ago how much my guys were going to blow dry, I was like, there's no way. Now, almost every single guy blow dries. And I know that they probably have a blow dryer. Back in the day when people were traveling more, there was at least a blow dryer even in their hotel room and things like that. So they can definitely use a blow dryer. Showing them with a brush, you know, using maybe a vent brush is a great way. If they don't have that, using their comb, right? Definitely showing them, hey, you can move that. If you heat that hair up, just like a curling iron, and you heat that comb up as well, it's going to push that hair one way. So speaking to them about actually using a tool is going to give you more of a form to that hair. So are you done with your blow drying?
I am. And I did see someone asked if this is a Dyson. Now listen, you guys, I'm gonna put myself on blast. I'm a baller on a budget. No, that's not a Dyson. This is an Adagio, California. Very, very comparable for a quarter of the price. So definitely check it out. It works amazing. And Adriana, you are killing it with the knowledge. Honestly, I'm like listening in and taking notes mentally right now too. Everything she's saying, you guys, is so exceptionally true. Just always be in that that understanding of you can never over communicate. You never can. Everyone wants to learn too. You know, we're in the era of TikTok and YouTube, and we have all these clients who are YouTube certified, but you guys are the professionals. You guys went and got education and actually are getting a license to prove it. So don't be afraid to lay down some knowledge for them, because you guys are the experts. Look it up. An expert is someone who knows more than the general public. You guys have done your time. You know, so don't be afraid that you're BSing someone. You never are. You know so much. All right, so I went through, sprayed my alternator, I think like 8 times. Adriana, you have me thinking about it now, but I sprayed my alternator in there, blow dried it. This is a really great product if you guys are trying to build pompadours or anything like that that need a really solid foundation. This is buildable, so have fun with it. But you guys can see it has some really nice natural shine to it. So now I'm gonna come in, I'm using a little bit of this American Crew defining paste. It's the orange color. This one is going to be a little bit lower in shine, but a medium hold. I'm just gonna put this on and stack it to help me piece out some sections so you can really see that texture that we emphasized. All right, and don't forget, you guys, we got a beard on this guy. Beard needs some love too. So what we're gonna go ahead and do with this, I'm sorry, Adriana, did I cut you off?
Oh no, I said absolutely, you're right. He does have a beard. I'm excited to hear what you're gonna say.
All right, so we're still living in this COVID life, and mask me, you guys, is a real thing. So one product that I think every single client who has a beard and is wearing a mask regularly needs, should have, needs in their life is this American Crew Beard Foam Cleanser. So if any of you guys are sitting here going, oh my gosh, that's me, this stuff, you guys, I'm obsessed with it. It comes out so smooth. This is going to help moisturize and sanitize that facial hair and the skin underneath it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my hand so you guys can see. Look at that. And it's so soft and airy. So I'm just gonna coach my client to just anytime he's getting out of the car after work, he's been wearing that mask all day, go ahead and put this in. We're gonna slide it through. We're gonna come up underneath the chin. We're not gonna leave any piece untouched. Get a little bit on that mustache too. You know, sometimes it collects a little bit of stinky stuff. So not anymore with this stuff. All right, and then to tame it out and add a little bit of shine here, I'm coming in with my beard balm, right? Just a tiny bit. And with this one too, because of the world that we're living in right now, I want you guys to really get into the habit of teaching your clients, verbally giving them cues on how to apply these products, because not very many people really want your hands in their face right now, and that's totally understandable. So we're going to teach them, hey, we're going to emulsify it in our hands. You'll see a nice little gloss. We're going to come from the cheeks. We're going to go down on our chin. We're going to get that mustache, and we're going to just give this some love, because we know that facial hair is really dry naturally. And then add the elements of winter. I mean, Texas, you guys got it hard this last week. Everyone needs some moisture in their life right now. All right, I'm gonna bring him in closer so you guys can take a look at that shine too. And we have all this movement. See all of this moving. I'm sorry, Pennsylvania. I see you. You guys got it too. I'm so sorry. I would never discredit you and what you're going through. I don't know, you guys. I'm in California. I can't talk too much about it, because if I say it's cold, you guys will just beat me up for it. All right, so we have this backwards movement. I want you guys to really see that. And this again was brought straight out and just manipulated with that razor placement. So the razor really does do the work for you guys, and it's so fun to use. Just remember those simple things. The natural bend, making sure we're not going too low when we're adding texture, making sure we are being intentional with our razor placement, everything like that. It's the same. Everything is the same. So don't be afraid to try something new, especially when you're working on these doll heads. You guys, they're not tipping you anyway. Have fun and learn and make your mistakes now so you don't have to do it on your clients. Adriana, what do you got else for us?
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. I mean, even if you have never done a razor cut, doing, the same, holding the sections the same way, using your shear, and then going back in with your razor to create that movement and not quite at the ends. Some guys, like I said, that have finer and lower density, they might not do great with an all razor haircut. So doing the same haircut, practicing hand positioning, and then doing it all with shear, and then going back through and creating that movement with the razor with your secondary shape is going to be huge. Compliment your client. A lot of times, like my station is right up in the front, and I know that I love words of affirmation, right? So anytime I see something that I really like, I just make sure that I tell that person, like, hey, your haircut looks really great. Or, wow, that color turned out really well, or whatever the case may be, because people aren't sure. Maybe this is that first time that they've been back in the salon, or they're wearing their hair longer and they're not really sure. Does it look good? Do people think I look good? Do I look like a slob? Like, I don't know. But if somebody gives you that words of affirmation right off the bat, as they're about to walk out the door, they're going to feel good. That's our job, is to make people feel good. So, walking them up to the retail area and saying, hey, these are the products that I used. This is what I would recommend. This is how long your haircut will last. I encourage you, if this was my client and he was wearing his hair longer, I'd probably say 5 to 6 weeks max. After that, you're going to start really losing shape. And if you want to maintain that, now if you're trying to grow out it even longer, maybe I might say 6 to 7 weeks. But you're going to really start to lose shape. And if length is what we're going, then longer is okay. But if you're trying to maintain, 5 weeks is kind of the max with longer hair. Tell them how long it's going to be, because in their head, they're going to go and they're going to think about, oh man, how long has it been since my last haircut? And going back to that introduction, if you check back and you look and see when the last time they were in, you can say, oh, I noticed you were in 5 weeks ago. Oh, I noticed, was that too long for you? Or do you feel like it was just right? Oh, you had got busy and you forgot. So now you're more like 6 to 7 weeks. Was that too long? Reiterating that, because they're going to think about that. Also, if you sell them a product, and I'm not here to be like, oh my gosh, sales, sales, sales. No, they need to create this just like your doctor says, hey, you need this prescription. Okay, I believe that I need this prescription. It's the same thing. It's a prescription for their hair. So every time they pick up that product and they spray it in their hair every morning, they're going to think of you every morning. And they're going to be like, that was actually a really good haircut. Wow, I really liked what Dorian did today. Blah, 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 blah. They're going to think of you, which is going to create loyalty to you. I personally like cutting the same people's hair. It makes my job really easy. And then I get to have the fun chit chat. So, and then if they, every time one of my clients moves to another place, and I feel like people are moving a lot right now during COVID, they're like, who's going to cut my hair? That's what I'm so scared about. And I'm like, the best advice I can give you is walk up to the person who has the best hair at the grocery store and say, where do you get your hair cut? Because that's the people that you want cutting your hair, right? You're not going to walk up to the person that has like a hat on their head. So, referrals are great for when people move to me or move to you, telling people, hey, she did such a good job. I want to get my hair cut from that person. And thank them for coming in, and you look forward to seeing them soon. So do you have anything else that you want to touch on that we didn't cover?
I do. I actually want to elaborate on something you said that I think is so incredible. You guys, it's free to be kind. It really is. Be each other's hype guys, because we're all learning, every single one of us. I mean, I've had my license for over a decade. That doesn't mean anything. There's always something going on, just like something going on at home always. 1 second.
I do have a couple questions for you guys.
Okay.
For them. I mean, I love the 7 steps to success. I think that's important for everybody. Maybe something, and we'll start with you, Adriana. What's something that really you've done to stand out or gone above and beyond to really have that personality where people do want to return to you? Because I think that's what's kind of hard when you first start out, is how do you find your niche and how do we really retain those clients?
I was thinking about that actually the other day. That's funny that you say that. And one, giving a good scalp massage. I know that seems like so silly, but if you can perfect your scalp massage, if you guys are in beauty school or you're at your shop, like giving each other a scalp massage, because I'm not going to lie, a bad scalp massage is really bad, like really bad. And you're like, okay, that was horrible. But a good scalp massage is, you're like, wait, we're done. Like, I want more. So I think perfecting that is a really important piece, but then also being, I keep saying be kind, like it is, be nice, sound interested in what they have to say, care. If you don't necessarily care, then maybe this isn't the industry for you, because I feel so good when I get a text message or somebody tags me in the picture on their Instagram or they love their hair. That makes me feel good because I'm giving them the one outfit that they wear every single day. So I really, I want to perfect obviously hair cutting, and that's why I think having Sport Clips and American Crew, like we have a method, we have a direction of our hair cutting, and that's one piece. And anybody can cut hair, but how do you make yourself different? And that's something that comes from in here, like really, truly, and you just have to love this industry and love people.
Dorian, do you have anything to add? I mean, I think that was epic. Yes, of course.
Yeah, I mean, really, it is exactly that. Be interested. One thing that really helped me out to build my retention. Okay, I'm a 90s kid, you guys. So SpongeBob is my life. I built all my foundations on there, but there's an episode where he where Squidward can't remember anyone's name and SpongeBob knows the entire clientele's first and last name, their story. Get on that level. I mean, you're not going to remember everyone, but your regulars, you should be able to say, hey, Joe, welcome back. How was your vacation? Things like that. Always, because that's going to make them feel wanted, right? It feels like we're an extension of their family because sometimes we see them more than their cousins, grandparents, you know?
So true. So true. As you were saying that, I was like, oh my God, it is knowing, bring one thing. You need only one word and then they're going to feel special. Even though you 500 haircuts before you saw them last. It's like, hey, Bob, how was your vacation? That is like knowing and remembering one thing about them. And I feel like being a hairdresser, I don't know about you, but like I get photographic memory where I get to like this one piece in the hair and I'm like, whoosh, flood of like every conversation that we had. And they're like, how do you remember?
Yes, exactly. It all comes back to you, but it only does if you're listening, right? We call that active listening. So be in the moment. When you're with your client, don't be thinking about what's going on at home. This is your guys' escape. You know, this is your second home. So let that be exactly that, because really, realistically, we keep talking about it. You spend more time with each other than you do your family. So be present, be in the moment, take a mental inventory of everything going on right then and there. And that's actually going to help you guys not feel so overwhelmed in your day-to-day. You know, that's my little tip and trick for you. So really just live it, be in the moment.
Great advice. Thank you both for being here. Adriana, American Crew's been with Sport Clubs since the beginning. We love you guys. I know someone won your mentorship, so I'm really excited to see how that goes. Yeah, and Dorian, I do want to ask one last question, and if you could stay on and put this in the chat box, because Joshua really wants to know what blow dryer that was, and so spell that out for him. That would be fantastic. For everybody else, we are going to be sending you on a 15-minute break. So please come back 15 minutes after the hour. And during break, you know, use the restroom, get a drink, whatever you need to do, but also call your mom and dad and tell them everything you learned so far. See you back in 15. Welcome back from break, everyone. You know, every time I'm on stage, the first question I get all the time is, what tools are you using? Well, this next presentation is we're going to talk about all the tools, right? We have Babyliss coming up with Dennis Colpitts and artistic team member, Jadrien Westbrook.
Hey everybody, like Stacia said, my name's Jadrien and I'm with Sport Clips, y'all, and I am so excited to be here with you guys today to do a haircut. And the haircut I'm going to be doing today is a low taper fade by Skip Guarding, and I'm going to have a square textured top. And I'm going to be doing this today on my model, Matt. He is my husband, so I've cut his hair a time or two. So I'm super excited to be here today, like I said. So as you can see with Matt's hair, I've already got it sectioned into a square. And we've discovered that it works best with his hair to do this because it gives him that awesome masculine look that we love. And I'm going to be skip guarding, whatever you would like to call it. It could be both. And I'm going to start with my awesome new tools that I have from Babyliss, brand new. I'm going to be using the clipper, trimmer, and foil shaver. But the first step for his haircut is we're going to be taking our 4 guard on our clipper, and we're going to be taking this weight right around the parietal ridge out because it's going to help with his grow out. And we've just learned with the shape of his head and just the texture of his hair that step guarding with the 4, getting that weight out and then working down to the half is what works best for him. And I see that I've got my friend here, Dennis with Babyliss. What's up?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So excited to be here with you today.
Yeah. Your model looks terrified.
Well, he's
I'm just teasing you.
his first time to be a model, so he's probably nervous. as it
A
can
big
be.
moment. My name is Dennis Joseph. I'm the senior director of the barber category for Babyliss Pro. So I've had a great opportunity with this company to, I started off in education, traveling around, sharing with people haircuts, techniques, tools. And now I have an amazing opportunity to actually build the tools. So getting to work with our engineers, the R&D department, and actually building tools for people like myself who use them. So what I'll be doing is, as Jadrien's cutting today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys different things about tools. So I am a clipper and trimmer and foil shaver nut, and I will try to share as much information with you guys about different motors and why you would choose one clipper over another, or why a rotary motor or a magnetic motor or a pivot motor is important to you when you're cutting. I'll be sharing with you guys different taper control systems. I'll also be sharing with you guys the difference between a fine tooth blade, a standard tooth blade, a deep tooth blade, and I will just be sharing as much as possible with you guys today about clippers. So before I let Jadrien catch you up, I want to talk about the tools that she's using today. So she'll be using 3 of our key items today. The first one is our Custom FX 870 clipper. Okay, so when I say Custom FX, the reason why I'm saying that is we actually have a program right now where you as the artist can actually custom make these clippers in whatever colorway you want. Just like Nike ID, just like Apple's doing with their iWatches. So you see the one that Jadrien's using. This is an exclusive limited edition through a DBE group, and it is the Sport Clips color. So it's a really powerful tool. I'll talk about the motors in a little bit. All metal housing. You have a 5D dent taper control. So I'll let her catch you up on her haircut real quick, and then when you come back, we'll talk about some of the features of it.
So like Dennis saying, these tools are just really awesome. With being with Sport Clips for 8 years now, I've got to use a good handful of clippers. And this just has really been awesome to practice with these and use them, because it just makes a smooth transition for this haircut that I'm doing with Matt. So I just got done taking my foreguard, like I was saying, to get that weight out of the way. And I took it with my foreguard just straight up to create that square shape. From my dominant side, which is my right side, to the back, then I went to the opposite side and worked to the back. And I do this because it really helps me with the balance of his haircut. And I'm using the Zoom picture now as like my mirror, because our mirror is one of our biggest tools. But now what I'm doing is I'm taking my 2 by step guarding. I'm taking my 2 right below where I took my 4. And instead of coming straight up like I did with my 4, I'm now taking it more at a diagonal. And the reason why I'm doing this is it's going to make a smoother transition, so we can have that good fade as we work down. And I went from a 4 to a 2 because if you have that good C motion like I'm doing, keeping it at a diagonal, you can just step guard between those 2 guards and it'll be smooth, but you can always go back with your 3 guard in between. But by taking this diagonal, scooping it, you can see just right there how it just goes smooth from that 2 to the 4. But if you feel like you need to go back with your 3, which is, you know, between the 4 and the 2 guard, you can always do that as well. But having that good heel to toe motion really makes a difference with your fades. So like I said, I started on the right side. I always stop in the back after, and then I come to the opposite side. And yeah, I mean, Dennis, these are amazing.
Thank you. So a couple of things I want to point out while she's cutting. You notice her position that she's holding the clipper. She's holding it the same way as if she was shaking somebody's hand. And the reason why that's important is because we actually design clippers. Now, these are little things that we might not think of when we're holding them, but we actually design clippers so that when you're holding this in a shaking motion, this should be vertical. Okay, so the blade, the shape of the blade, when you're holding it in a handshaking motion, should be vertical. So when you hear Jadrien talking about she's working in a vertical motion and she's scooping at the parietal ridge, the clipper is designed to actually make that easier for her. Also, another thing that's really important is the mag-like grip. So you'll notice this is a cylinder shape. So never, when she's cutting around the head, never is this going to be in a non-ergonomic position for her. Whether she's cutting straight up and down, whether she's cutting a flat top across the top, whether she's cutting clipper over comb, she's always going to be in a position, and you see her working with it. She's working vertical, she's working side to side, she's working on diagonals. So no matter what position she's cutting, it's always going to be in a good position. Another thing that's really important is the motor and what's inside the clipper. You'll notice that she put a foreguard on there. She was able to remove all the bulk. Now, if you walk into a busy shop, you'll notice people that cut men's hair, they have multiple tools. You know, some of the busy barbers, they have 3 or 4 clippers, 3 or 4 trimmers. And as people that are just starting out in the business, we question, well, why would I need multiple tools to be able to create a haircut? It's just like an artist or a mechanic or anybody else that's in the building. We're building haircuts. The more tools you use, the more you can create. So for instance, this clipper is intended to be able to remove bulk because of the power of the motor. And there's 3 different types of motors we're going to talk about today. The first one is probably the most common that you guys are used to. These are usually what you get in a student kit. They weigh about 5 tons. They're really heavy and they've been around for a long time, is a magnetic motor clipper. And the way that these work, and I actually have this here, is they use this giant magnetic coil here, okay? And on the side of this magnetic coil is what we call a C-arm. You'll see, let me see. This C-arm, I don't know if you guys can see it moving, okay? It looks like this giant C all the way around. And the way that this works is as current alternates from positive to negative, what it does is it turns this magnet on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And as it's doing that, it's taking that giant C-arm, okay, turns it on, it sucks that C-arm close, turns it off, opens it up, on, off, on, off, on, off. And what that does is it causes that blade to move, all right? So these blades actually move in a downward arcing motion, and it uses almost a vibration. So these are really good because you can get really fast speeds because it's just vibrating, but unfortunately, it might have a fast blade for fast haircuts, but you can stop the blade really easily. So it's like a sports car. You might be able to drive it really fast, but you're not going to be able to drive it through mud. Real quick, and then I know because I want to get Jadrien catch you up where she's at. The other 2 types is there's a pivot motor where basically the pivot is in the center, so it's not a C motion. These became popular because it allowed a window, almost like your windshield wipers, where they work more in a parallel shape. So barbers really liked the fact that the blade was moving in more of a parallel motion. So these became really popular because of the motion. Also, they're nice and quiet. They work with the center pivot. They have a magnet on this side and a magnet on this side. And as the current flows up through one side, it pulls the pivot to that direction. As it flows down through the other side of the motor, it pulls the pivot in the other direction. So it causes it to do this. Same thing with these though, they don't have power. You can easily stop them. Now the clipper that Jadrien's using, and the reason why she's able to remove the bulk is because she's using a brushless, high torque rotary motor. And what I mean by rotary is it rotates. And if you'll look, these motors actually have almost like a train. If you ever look at the wheels on a train, they have a pivot on them, which gives them a lot of power and torque. So these motors, they work in a rotating motion, just like a train track, and that's where you get your power from, okay? So this gives you the ability to have fast speeds and power, so she can cut through all different hair textures, no matter what. She's got the foreguard on there. I think you got the, what guard are we at now?
I'm at the half, and I love the click motion of it because I, started with the half low, and then I could see that little bit of a wedge right through here. So just by clicking this, just playing with it, I started with the first click, saw how it worked into that fade, clicked it to the second click and it just took out that wedge that I had. So that's amazing that you could just hear it too, that it's got that click motion and just makes it smooth, because we all have to know how to use our lever, right? So just having that and being able to hear is awesome.
Jadrien, when you're working, are you working with the clipper open sometimes and closed sometimes?
I am. I go back and forth just to see. And what's awesome is like right through here, I kind of listen for his hair. And then as I work my way up, it's just by hearing it too. And then taking the that click motion, like you were saying, and just working up to it. I can hear it, I can see it, and just going back and forth, like you're saying, just going back and forth just to see what's going to take it out.
You know what I love that you said is that you can hear it. And you can actually hear the little hairs being cut. It's so important as an artist. Okay, you're not just cutting with your visuals. And a lot of you guys, I'm not sure, but we cut with our feel too. So you're actually feeling the shape of the head, feeling where the head begins to curve, where the parietal rib is, where the occipital bone's at, where the mastoid bones are at. You're actually feeling those while you're cutting, and you're working in vertical square motions, which you heard Jadrien talk about in the beginning, creating a square masculine shape. But she's also using her ears. She's listening for hair to being cut. The best barbers on the face of the earth, they listen to hair being cut. Because when you get into these little fine, minute details, when you see her blending from that 0 into that 4 length, you have to be able to hear those different lengths integrating while you're cutting. That is so important. I'm so glad you said that. I just became a humongous fan.
Yay.
I was already a big fan before, but.
Well, I love watching you too. So I'm one of your big fans too. So we're really good friends now.
Yep.
So, like he was saying, I was going back and forth, and I actually still saw a little bit of a wedge. Matt hadn't had a haircut in 2 months, so I wanted to use him as my model. So he is so excited for his haircut today, but I felt like I could still go back with my 3 guard, and that between the 4 and the 2, just to take a little bit of this wedge off, because you can just see always going at a distance, and also with the zoom picture, I could see it as well, that there was just a little bit of that wedge there that I wanted to take off. And once again, just using that lever going back and forth, I can hear it, and now I can't hear it, so it means it's good to go. So we're done with the back. So the next step is we're going to go ahead and wet down the top. And like I said, we have his top working area into a square. So I'm going to be doing horizontal sections for the top. And with that 4 guard, I left a little bit of weight back here because Matt does have a little bit of a cowlick right at his crown. So I like to leave a little bit of that weight there just so we're not taking it too short to leave that volume that we're about to do with the top working area. So we're going to be taking a 1/2 inch wide section back here, horizontal section, and we're actually going to be pulling it straight up to the sky and getting our guide from the back where we stopped with our 4 guard. So I'm going to be pulling this straight up to the sky, just cutting that straight across, connecting to that guide that we left out from the back with the 4 guard. And then we're going to come to the sides and connect to the guide that is at the parietal ridge, where once again we left that guide out with our 4 guard. So we'll probably do this for his head shape about 2 sections. You want to stop right at the high point, apex area, because once we get to that, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So.
And that fade looks seamless from here. And when you heard Jadrien talking about she's working with the taper control on the clipper, there's several different types of taper controls. One of the most popular types is a free swinging taper. So they typically look like this and they free swing. So they move back and forth. There's no clicking, no anything. You're able to close the blade all the way, open it, and then you have basically wherever you want to put this in between. Now, these are great because you can be very meticulous where you want it. The problem with these can be that you don't know where you were at. So if Jadrien's doing her fade, she has it open, she cuts her weight line in, she closes it, puts another weight line in, and then she wants to go blend those two and she tries to split the difference. Okay. Every time you split it, it might be a little bit different. So the clipper that she's using, our 870, these actually have a 5 detent locking taper where basically you can actually hear it. Okay, so while she's cutting, you heard her talking about she's listening to different things. So when it's all the way closed, okay, it's going to cut like a 0. When it's all the way open, it's considered a half. And then you have 3 more lengths in between. So a lot of the haircuts that you guys are seeing today, when you see a blend that goes, like his blend goes right from a 0 into that 4, you're seeing multiple levels of light and dark within the hair. And that's what a fade is. It's multiple dimensions of light and dark. And the way that somebody like Jadrien is creating that is by using a taper system and also using a guard system. For instance, if I have 5 positions here and I have, we'll just use, she used a 4, okay? So if I have a 4 guard, I can create 5 different positions, 3 guard, 5 different positions, 2 guard, 5 different positions, a 1.5 guard, a 1.5 guard. So just with that, I can create, if I have 4 or 5, basically I have a 4, hold on, and then I have 2 halves. So I have 6 guards just right there. And then also without a guard, that's 7 times 5, 35 different lengths of shading Jadrien can create just through 0, using a taper, and up to her 4 guard. And that's going to make her job a lot easier when she gets to blending the top into those longer lengths.
Love it. And now what we're doing is we're doing a forward movement with the top working area. So the first 2 sections get into the high point. We were just pulling it straight up to the sky using those horizontal sections. But now what we're going to be doing is I'll get this back here. We're going to be slightly pulling it back to the previous cut section. So as you can see, we're just pulling it back, and it's going to create that short to long progression because he likes it short through here, but he still wants to have a little bit of that volume to push it up in the front. So we'll be doing this just until we get to the front. So just slightly pulling it back to the previous cut section. And he really, really loves this, don't you, babe?
Yes, ma'am.
Smart.
It really does make the volume in his hair just look awesome from doing this forward movement that we're doing. And then it's just key to seriously make sure that we go back and cross-check it as we go, doing those clean sections, because, you know, time's money, right? So we've got to be, you know, cross-checking with being efficient with our time. So I usually, y'all didn't see it because Dennis was talking, but before we moved from the back 2 sections to the front of the high point, I made sure to go back and cross-check it. So since we're cutting it horizontal, I went back and cross-checked it vertical. So I'll be doing the same thing once I'm done with the front to give it a really good cross-check before we move on.
And Jadrien, you would consider that a high fade, right? Or high or mid fade?
Yes, yes. Well, with this, with the half, we did it like low to medium and right in between. And then I took the 4 at a high fade.
Perfect.
Keep that weight out.
Yeah, and really important, different types of haircuts, different styles. Typically a taper, and I'll talk about blades and what blade she was using to be able to create the fade, but there's 3 different types of blades that you can use. There's a taper blade, which is the most common. There's a fade blade, which is what Jadrien used on her clipper. And then also there's a wedge blade, okay? So 3 different types of blades. The first blade and the most common blade is a taper blade. So a taper blade looks like this. They typically have this crescent shape through here. And the reason why a taper blade became popular is because of the taper haircut. So a taper is considered to go, and this changes depending on region, time where you're at in the world, but a taper for the instance of today is below the temple, not to go above the ear. So through this area here, it's a tape up. You hear him talk about it on Jersey Shore and whatnot, right? I got to get a tape up. And also in the back below the occipital bone is considered a tape up. Okay, so a taper fade, a taper blade, this crescent shape supports a natural rocking motion in those taper areas. Okay, because it's crescent shape. Okay, through here and through here. The next type of blade, and what's Jadrien used to be able to create his fade, is a fade blade, which is a elongated flat blade like this. So when you heard her talking about creating a masculine shape, working in a vertical motion, this supports a vertical motion because it's long and straight like this. So as Jadrien was cutting, she's working and able to work in a vertical motion, a long motion, which is how she gets that integration from really short to really long. The blade makes her job easier. This supports vertical motion. This supports more of a rocking motion. And then the last type of blade is a wedge blade, which is kind of in between. A wedge blade is a very, very steep angle, and it's short. So unlike the fade, which is very long and flat, this is a short, steep angle. This is what a lot of advanced barbers like to use it, because I'm able to really jump. Because that wedge is so steep, I'm able to jump from one length to the next because that wedge is so steep. I'm really able to jump from one length to the next. Okay, looking good over there.
Love it. So
How's your first day modeling?
What did you say?
I said, how's his first day modeling?
How's it feeling?
Good.
It's feeling
Yeah.
good.
Everything you expected?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I just got done with the front, or the top to the front. So I always like to make sure and just lay it down. I don't know if y'all saw me while I was doing it, but I always make sure the front's even, looks good, and you can always add extra texture to the front. So that's what I was doing, is just pulling it over, directing it towards me, and adding some point cutting to the front, just to add that extra little bit of texture through here. So with Matt, he's got a little bit of a receding hairline, so I don't want to get like too crazy with it, but just to add that texture to give it that nice volume that we created with that forward movement. So I think we're good with the top. So the next step we would do is do our blending with our blending comb and our clippers. So another awesome thing with the click, I think, Dennis, with your clippers is, you know, for some people, it's kind of scary to, I know it was scary for me when I first started at Sport Clips to even get introduced to a blending comb in general. Yeah. So I feel like with these clicks, that's what's going to be awesome on the lever, is that, you know, if you don't want to have it completely closed, you can open it up and give you like a little bit of wiggle room, so you're not divoting in if you possibly do dip in just a little bit. So it's not going to give it just that, you know, zero dip compared to a half, if that kind of makes sense. So so I love that they have this. So that'd be great whenever I first started Sport Clips to have this to practice with. So what we're going to do, so staying with the square shape, I still sometimes catch myself even giving me the wiggle room, but I will close it just because I have been cutting Matt's hair for a good while, right? 10 years. So I'm going to be taking my clipper comb into this wedge right here, where you can see that we just had that little bit of the weight line that went from the foreguard to the top working area. So with our blending comb, it really, like I said, just takes, you know, practice. It takes just being patient, going slow, just really getting used to it, having a good handle on your clippers and your blending comb as you're doing this. So I'm going to come in at a horizontal, just because I like to stay with that square shape, but you could always come in with other haircuts at a diagonal. But with him, like I said, we're going to stick with that square shape. So if you can see, I'm coming in at that weight line right there, and you're going to be able to see a guide at the end of the comb to the other end of the comb, and you can see this weight in between. So that's what we're going to be taking off. But you want to make sure whenever you're coming in that you're brushing up and you're pulling it out from the head, and we're not dipping into it. Because see, you can see the difference of it. If I come in and I don't brush out, I'm taking so much of that weight out, and it's going to make a really good dip right there. So just coming in, pulling it straight out, taking that little bit of weight out right there. It's going to make that smooth transition. So you would just do that all the way around. And like I said, I'm starting with my dominant side as always, and I'll start from this side to the back, go to the opposite side, and be using my mirror once again, just making sure that it looks good, blended, before I just move on to any other steps.
One of the things that Jadrien said that's really important is about utilizing the taper control. When you're working in clipper over comb like she's working, you don't have to have the blade all the way closed right down to zero. You're not giving yourself any wiggle room. If you're just first starting, moisturizers and chunks of hair flying all over the place. And my brother-in-law, who is one of my mentors in the business, came up to me and he said, Dennis, you get judged by the hair that's left on the head, not the hair that's on the floor. So when you're working on somebody's head, you can always take more. So clipper over comb, if you're first starting, open this up. Give yourself a little wiggle room to get used to that motion. Jadrien's done this a bunch of times where she's comfortable making those side motions doing clipper over comb. And something else that she said that's really important is the grip on the clipper when she's working. You'll notice that these actually have a knurling on them. So just like if you're at the gym, the same knurling that's on a barbell, these have knurling on them. So if you're working with products during the course of the day, you're using the American Crew products that I seen in the video before us, you're using their favorite products, you have serum on your hand, you have oils on your hands, you don't want to drop your beautiful custom FX clipper on the ground. You want to make sure it's secured in your hand. So two very important things. Once again, you're covering some great facts here as you're educating. So phenomenal job. And his haircut looks great.
Thanks. It's these clippers, I'm telling you, they make it really easy. All right, so another cool thing for blending too, instead of taking it horizontal, you could always take this vertical too. Instead of it at a diagonal or like horizontal, like I was saying, you could take it vertical, but just the same. I guess I'll show you this way. It might be easier to see. So coming in, but we don't want to dip into all that weight that I've left for him right here. So if we take it with the vertical, you can still get that square shape, but just making sure that we're pulling it out, and you can see all this weight behind that we do not want to cut. So just coming straight up like this is also going to create that square shape that continue to stay with that square shape that we've created for his hair. So I just wanted to show that too, of another way that you could use your blending comb as well. And I always like to brush it too a couple of times because his hair is thick and it's got a little bit of salt and pepper in here now. So you definitely want to brush it a couple of times, you know, because I would rather put less hair into my comb, blending comb, and just brush it again, go back and take more weight out. So just like I was saying, just, you know, taking your time to really get used to it, play with it, and less is more when it has to do with the blending comb for sure with hair. So just going back and brushing it a second time, maybe even a third time till you get used to it.
And one other thing that I think is very, very important is you're seeing Jadrien, she's not just doing just with the guard system. She's doing clipper over comb. She's using her shears. She's going to use a trimmer. She's going to use a shaver. When you think about creating value in a haircut, if you guys are just starting, you have to look at yourself as this little, your own little business. Okay. You are the business. So when people come to you, the way that you dress, the way that you talk, if you're on time, the way that you present yourself, how many different things are you using? You see she's using multiple things to cut his hair. She's using styling products. I heard in the last presentation, they talked about educating your clients. This was huge for me. When I was working, I was teaching people about the taper control, and I was teaching them about, she's talking about the shape she's trying to create. and she's talking about why she's doing what she's doing. All these little things, using multiple tools, using multiple techniques, they all create value. And when do people pay for something? They don't pay for something when they want it or when they need it. Sometimes they do. People pay for things when the value exceeds the price. When the value exceeds the price. For instance, Ted Gibson charged, I think it's like $2,000 a haircut. Okay. I've never seen his haircuts. I know he works on different people. And the reason why Ted is able to charge that much is because he's created so much value in Ted. The way he dresses, the way he presents himself. He worked with Oprah. He works on Fashion Week. He does this, he does that. His salon, the way all of his stuff, all of his equipment's all black and all matches. Value exceeding price is really, really important. If you guys want to be able to charge more, pay close attention, learn how to do clipper over comb, learn how to do different fading techniques, learn how to do a bald fade, a skin fade, learn how to do shear blending, learn how to cut the top, learn some of these languages, and you should be your own little educator within your clients, educating them the whole time. And if you guys do this, you can continue to elevate your prices because of the value that you create in yourself. Really, really important, especially when you're just starting out. Uh-oh. Oh, there you are.
Right. I'm back, sorry. So now we're gonna be doing the finish and detail. So I feel like that's one of the biggest, well, all of the points are really important, but our clients and Matt here and you, Dennis, too, that's the first thing that you'll notice, right? Or the finish and detail, like the perimeter, seeing your sideburns, seeing, around your ears, all that. So just taking time with that is super important too. That's why I think it's called finish and detail, because you want to pay attention to that detail really good. So Matt has his beard here. So obviously we're not going to be going off of his sideburns, and with that half, it already made it really smooth into the beard he already previously had. So it gave that nice little fade into the beard. So I actually have these awesome, I don't know if you've talked about these just yet. I'm sure you have. Oh, no, not yet.
No, not yet.
So these are the skeleton trimmers. So once again, I've used so many different trimmers at Sport Clips, or, just in general as being a stylist. And what's awesome about this is that you can literally see what you're doing, because there's not going to have that plastic that's, what's the word I'm looking for? The plastic that's going to be, like keeping your focus on your lines and all of that. So these are going to be amazing for lining up, just so you can see it clearly too. So right here, always, I want to make sure that that's the first thing with the sideburns that I'm paying attention to in detail as well, is if there is any kind of weight there, just taking that out. And like with our clipper comb, coming in, brushing it out and angling it out, you'll be able to see the guide with your cutting comb to take that weight out. So you never don't want to pay attention to both of these areas in the front as well. So with Matt's, I always start right at his sideburn, right here. And I clean it up behind his sideburn by his ear, just to make sure that that's tight and clean. And I always start from the front, come to the top of his ear, and then I'll come behind his ear and come to the top of it. Because sometimes I've noticed, like just practicing, if I just go all the way around his ear, you can easily go into the hairline behind his ear. So I like having that step as well. And just the word I was trying to look for earlier was visually being able to see with not having that plastic in the way with these trimmers. So you can really...
And what she's referring to is she's using our skeleton trimmer, which they also come in custom FX, so they come in all different colorways. Jadrien's obviously using the Sport Clips edition. The plastic she's talking about is a traditional trimmer. They come with a full housing. So the housing goes all the way up to the blade. Okay, so there's blade and then the housing. You get right into it. All right, I'll show another one. Okay, you see the plastic goes right up to it. These are skeleton housing. So you can see that these have the housing has been cut away all the way around the blade, almost putting that blade on its own little pedestal, just like a spatula. And now the way that this came to be is what barbers started to do is barbers started to get sick of, and I'll show you how she's working right now. You see how she's working around the ear? Barbers got sick of, this is your bird's eye view of cutting with a trimmer. Barbers got sick of this blocking what they're able to see. So what barbers started to do is they started to cut the housings away on their trimmers. They did that to give them more visibility, plus it allowed the blades to run cooler. Well, Babyliss was the first company to actually produce this clipper or this trimmer already skeleton housed. So you can see all the way skeleton. So when you're working, when you're cutting lines, see how you can see all the way around that blade? If you're doing a lineup in the front, you're working around the perimeter, you're working around the ear, you have 360-degree visibility around that blade when you're working. And something else that's really important is you can zero gap it without taking the blade apart. So some of you guys might not know what zero gapping is. Some of you guys may. Let me see if I have one here I can show you which isn't zero gap. Okay, perfect. So most trimmers will come from the factory like this. Okay, there's two blades. When on any clipper and any trimmer, there's always two blades. There's a fixed blade, which is a stationary blade. It doesn't move, and it's typically the part that touches the skin. And then there's a cutting blade, okay, which is typically the part that moves. Now, zero gap refers to how much space is there in between this cutting blade or this fixed blade. Let me get out of the way here. Maybe it's better like this. How much space is in between this fixed blade and this cutting blade? So you can see a little bit of gold there. There's a little bit of space there, right? Which means that this is not zero gapped. That blade can actually cut closer. And the way that you do that is you take this tool like this, and this actually comes with it. It's a little zero gapping tool. You pop it onto the back of the blade like that. You get this little screwdriver with it. You loosen the screw here. Okay, you loosen the screw here, and it gives you the ability. Now look, you could push that blade. You can actually push that cutting blade so it's over. Now you don't want to do that, okay? You want to push that blade back so they're perfectly even like that. That is considered a zero gap blade. There is zero gap in between the two of them. Then you tighten it back down and you go to work. And last thing before I let Jadrien catch you guys up, it's so important when you're first starting, you don't have to zero gap your clippers or your trimmers right away. You can cut people if you zero gap them too close. People, and this is one of the things when I first started, I said I was Edward Scissorhands. Well, I was also the person that would grip somebody on the top, and I was pushing really hard, and I thought I had to work harder to create a nice fade and a nice lineup. Then I started to educate it, and I realized if you ever watch a painter is very soft with his hands. Look at how she's working. She's not aggressively cutting with the tool. She's letting the tool do the work. The same thing applies to the trimmer. You don't need to push the trimmer against the scalp to be able to make a nice cut. Adjust your blade and then very soft, okay? The softer you work, the better your haircuts are gonna turn out, okay? Because you're not putting hard, harsh lines and fades that you're not able to get out, not able to work out. So the softer you put stuff in, the softer you work, the softer your blend's gonna be. The softer your integration from the blend, the fade into the length. The softer your foil shave. You see she's working with a foil shaver. The softer your foil shave transition from your foil shaver into your trimmer and into your fade is gonna be. So important. When you're first starting, don't be too aggressive, work soft. Think of that artist working with the paintbrush.
I love those foil shavers. So I was so excited to practice and just with different types, and these are really amazing. So just like he was saying, you want to go really slow with foil shavers too. If y'all haven't used them, or if you have, you probably already know this, but just the fact that they have those little holes, you've got to move slow so it's actually getting in there to cut the hair, right? So getting practice with that is definitely, you want to know to move slow, right? Dennis is what?
Yeah.
saying.
And the easiest way for, so we're probably wondering, well, you got a foil shaver, a trimmer, a clipper. Why do I need all these things, right? Foil shaver removes bulk, okay, creates dimension, creates shades from light to dark by fading, tapering, etc. Right? Your trimmer, like Jadrien was saying, this is your perimeter. It's the first thing people look at when they see you. It's lining everything in. It's bordering everything, right? And then what your foil shaver does is your foil shaver, if you're not doing like the old school, you know, clean shaves with the foam on the face and sharpening a razor and razoring hair off the face, if you're not comfortable doing that, that's what a foil shaver is intended for. A foil shaver is going to cut closer than your trimmer. So this is your longest, this is very close, and then this literally is an electric shaver. It's going to take it down to nothing. And the way that these work is, you'll notice, don't worry, you can't shave long hair with it, all right? It doesn't allow the hair to feed in. Because of those little small holes that she was talking about, it's only going to work on stubble. Okay? These work by having, okay, and this is ours. This is our metal foil shaver, so it's got a really nice weight to it, so you don't have to press hard. The foil shaver does the work for you. But the way that it works is it has these two different cutting arms in here. So these are like the tires on a Jeep Wrangler, okay? They work opposite. See how they work opposite? So imagine if she's cutting on the back of the neck, she's cutting on the face, all these places where you would shave. Imagine that's like, going over a mountain range. This is your Jeep tires, right? These allow you to cut no matter what position you're in. They'll cut any part of the face and the head. Now these work by counter cutting. So one moves one way, one moves the other, right? The only thing separating these cutters from his a scalp there is these little thin foils. Okay, you can see right through them. They're really, really thin. You don't need to press hard because you'll burn up your foils. You have potential to cut somebody if you push too hard. So when she was cutting, you'll notice very soft. You heard her say it. You got to be very delicate when you're using these. And these are to be treated like a razor. So wherever you would use a razor and want to take it to bald, after you've done your fading, after you've done your perimeter and your trimming, you finish it. It's the most important thing. You finish it with the shaver, taking it all the way down to bald.
Love it. Dennis, it's been so fun. I feel like we always learn new things. I just learned so much from you, even if I'm using these tools, but now I can add more knowledge to my toolbox with these new tools. So it's been awesome with you.
Thank you. This is the first time I've had an opportunity to do co-education with you guys, and it was completely amazing. So just to see you guys educating and to hear the different terminology, and it's funny, we're synergy. So Sport Clips and Babyliss think alike the way that we educate, and this was awesome. So I think, I don't know if you want to do a recap and then we can open it up for questions.
Yeah. So, well, I could say this too, for his hair, it does look good. I bet he's so excited to have this haircut. I just put some Mitch Reformer. It works really good in his hair. I didn't use a blow dryer just because it would be loud, but you can also use it in his hair, just being a little bit damp as well. And it gives it that nice volume, just using your fingers too with the friction to give it that volume that we created for that top working area. So yeah, it looks great. And I'm down for any questions. I'm sure you could answer them better about the tools, but if anybody has questions about the haircut, I am here for questions.
Great job, you guys. Jadrien, your haircut looks great. Matt, thank you for waiting so long to get a haircut. Great education. Dennis, I mean, everybody just loves all your information. I think you've answered literally every question that came out. So, and if you didn't, we had your back. So thank you both for being here. Babyliss is such a great, we have such a great relationship with them. Even though it may be new, it's been a great journey. So thank you both.
One last thing, remember we wanted to give away a set of these to somebody, some lucky person?
Yep, Dennis, that's coming up and Julie's gonna be drawing the winner.
I ruined it, sorry.
No, it's okay. They already know it's up for grabs.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for the opportunity. I had an amazing time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have a Sport Clips ambassador explaining how the culture of the company made a difference to her life.
Hey guys, Dorian here, Sport Clips artistic team member and Southern California area coach. I'm hanging out with my friend and Sport Clips ambassador, Ariel Stallwick.
Hi.
Hello.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and how long have you been working with us?
Like you said, my name is Ariel. I am a Southern California Sport Clips ambassador as well as a store manager in CA 632, which is in Upland, California. I have worked here at Sport Clips for 9 years. I've been working at hair salons for 14 years now, which is crazy because I've only ever worked in hair salons. So it obviously has been my passion from early on. And I just love being a part of the Sport Clips community and this team.
Can you actually expand a little bit on what the ambassador team is?
Sure. So the ambassador team is a group of people that we go to local community beauty schools and we talk about Sport Clips. We encourage new hairstylists to maybe consider joining our team. We tell them how amazing we are. We can do haircuts for them to give them demos, show them what we're all about. We also get to go to hair shows and any kind of beauty conventions and just represent the brand and represent Sport Clips.
And what's your favorite part about being a part of the Sport Clips team?
There's so many things that I love about being a part of Sport Clips, but I honestly think that my favorite thing is how easy they make it for everyone to be successful. Whether you're just starting out as a new stylist or, continuing your journey as becoming a manager or ambassador, they always provide you with the tools and the education that you need to grow yourself and your career and to be successful. And I feel like not everywhere offers that. So I really value that about Sport Clips. The sky is the limit with Sport Clips. I knew from day one that I wanted to have a long lasting career at Sport Clips and kind of ride the wave and take every opportunity that came my way. So like I said, I am a store manager, but that came with being a shift leader, then being an assistant manager, then being an ambassador. Now that I'm a store manager, I'm ready to see what opportunity is next.
Now, you're a stylist in California, and California has had some interesting times through COVID. So how have you and your team members stayed engaged during these now going on our third closure?
Yes, it's been tough. I wasn't expecting that we would have 3 closures, but here we are. We're just trying to make the best of it, stay positive. I think that technology, Zoom, has actually played into staying connected. We've had just like happy hours where we can just chat and talk. We also did a group Zoom where everyone was working out in their living room just for some extra motivation so we weren't all becoming couch potatoes. Everyone's just excited to come back, and I hope when we do come back, it's just going to be better than before and we'll be able to do what we love.
Now, you've been with Sport Clips for so long. You have to have a few meaningful memories that just stand out.
I do. I can think of a lot of things, but some of my favorite things would be in 2018, my team leader got Team Leader of the Year at one of the national huddles in San Antonio. It was amazing not only just to be there, a part of the fun and the excitement, but I think it really solidified that I am where I'm supposed to be. I am a part of a team that's going to support me and encourage me. And it was just so exciting to see my boss up on the big stage that we were so motivated to come back home and be the best we could be. And then the other thing I would say is the St. Baldrick's event. In 2019, we hosted a St. Baldrick's Shave-a-thon. My store was the host store. We did it in Upland, and it was awesome to see how many people, not only from the community, our neighboring cities, but how many people from Sport Clips at other stores, other areas came to support the cause. It just kind of showed that we are a team, and Sport Clips is such a big family. We ended up raising over $10,000 for childhood cancer research, and it was just incredible. So those are my two highlights among so many other things, like making best friends and lifelong partnerships.
And I can honestly attest, I was there when you guys hosted that, and it was an amazing event. We have such great team members like you and the rest of your team that care about the community. So thank you so much for sharing your journey and your story with us. Thank you for being a part of our ambassador team.
Well, we learned from the best, so.
All right, guys. I think it's time for us to do a drawing for some more prizes. Is everybody ready for more prizes? All right. So this round, we are doing the Babyliss customizable toolkit, which will include a customizable clipper and trimmer, as you heard Dennis talk about. And that prize is going to go to Sierra Acerson is winning that. Acerson. Sierra Acerson is winning the Babyliss kit, customizable kit. And then our second prize is a 2-hour hands-on technical training with our artistic team members, 2 of our artistic team members. And this prize will go to Riley Kane. So guys, congratulations. What great prizes you have, and have fun and enjoy. Stace, I think it goes back to you now. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Julie. What great gifts everybody got. Well, I'm sorry, my assistant is trying to help me. Guys, I'm not really a cat. This is just a filter. But anyways, I can go on. I'm gonna go on with the closing, okay? Thank you all for being with us today. We had an amazing time with you. Thank you to all of our artists, American Crew, Nioxin and Babyliss, and then all the artistic team members. If you're a future professional out there, good luck to you in your career. Follow us on all of our Instagram handles, our Sport Clips jobs page. Go to our events website. We'd love to see you. Please ask any of our artists for any advice you'd like. And we can't wait to see you again. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.